performance therapy, they will have you covered. From their in-house lab that gives you answers in just 15 minutes in our clinic that is designed for men who value speed, privacy, and most importantly, results. Visit GamedayMensHealth.com. Real men, real science, real change. Visit GamedayMensHealth.com.
Calling all young golfers. The PGA Junior League at Old Capitol Golf Club is the perfect way to learn the game, make new friends, and compete in a fun, team-based environment. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, our PGA Junior League is coached by PGA professionals, helping kids build confidence on and off the course. Join the team and experience golf like never before. Sign up today at Old Capitol Golf Club and let's tee it up. Visit oldcapitalgolf.com to register now.
Louisville's longest-running pro sports team is back. Louisville Bats Baseball at Louisville Slugger Field. Family-friendly entertainment at budget-friendly prices. See future Cincinnati Reds in action. To plan your day at the ballpark, visit batsbaseball.com.
John Spears for M&M Cartage. You see those trucks riding down the road with the M&M Cartage sign. You could be a driver or work as a mechanic on one of those trucks. For 45 years, M&M Cartage has been a locally family-owned transportation company, and they're currently hiring those drivers and mechanics. To join their team, go online to mmcartage.com to apply. Headquartered in Louisville with locations in Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Morristown, Tennessee, and Detroit. That's mmcartage.com to apply.
Humana Incorporated seeks a lead technology leadership professional in Louisville, Kentucky, to be responsible for all aspects of software or hardware, product delivery, and performance.
Mechanical, your trusted partner for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration. Call United Mechanical at 502-339-1133.
All right. All right. All right. All right. Welcome, everybody, to this Wednesday, April 15th. This is the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus. We are coming to you live from the world-famous University of Louisville College of Business Studios here in the heart of Portal Madness, Portal Thriving, Portal Crazy, Louisville, Kentucky. Cards fans, take accounting to a whole new level with U of L's Masters in Accounting and Analytics. In-depth data analytics courses allow you to achieve a new mastery of accounting in this AAC SBA accredited program. 11-month competitive internship opportunities and full, not partial, not three-quarters, not minimal, full access to the Becker CPA exam review. Prepare to graduate career ready in just 12 months. Visit business.louisville.edu today to learn more. We're on the air today from 2:33 until 5:30 here on 1450 AM, 96.1 FM. Streaming all over the land, including on the Big X Sports Radio Louisville YouTube channel, airing live on WBNA Channel 21. You know what's better as Big X Sports Radio. It's Mike Rutherford. It's Roman Kelly with you on a Wednesday edition of the show. And once again, here in mid-April, these couple of weeks immediately following the end of the men's basketball season, we have a number of things to discuss. One new commit, official. Another new commit, potentially soon to be official. A returning player, maybe two, potentially soon to be discussed. We'll certainly discuss all of that. We'll talk with you on the Gameday Mens Health text line, 502-414-1450. We have a new edition on the football side of things as well. Not quite as sexy, but still, I think, beneficial. There's also some football stuff to talk about as we get ready for Friday night's spring game. We've got to take some shots at the folks down the road at Lexington Basketball Academy, because what better opportunity are you going to have than the one right now? We'll get into what's going on over there. I do have a funny story from somebody who knows somebody close to the program who has a little bit of insight about what exactly the hell is going on with Mark Pope once he gets these kids onto campus. We'll talk about that. NBA playoffs started last night. I like half the people listening, I think I just heard an audible groan from some of you. I know some of you want to hear Roman's thoughts on that. We'll let Roman talk about the NBA playoffs for 20 to 30 seconds. That'll be great. We'll do that. And then we'll look ahead to the night that will be in sports. More NBA playoffs, some stuff going on. We got fun things to talk about today. We'll talk about it with our guy to my left, although he's behind the wall. You can't see him. Roman Kelly, producing the hell out of this show per usual. Listen to him every day here from 2 to 2:30 on Running with Roman. You'll also catch him after today's show from 5:30 to 6 on the Ticket Punchers. Roman, how are you, buddy?
Doing well. Doing great. When you get good news like this, when you know that your team's handling business in the portal, and you're the richest team in college basketball and nobody has more money than you to work with, it makes you feel like you're a little chesty. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very, very good. We've got Logan in here with us right now, high schooler from Bethlehem High School.
Okay, so
plays football. Plays baseball and soccer. Big diehard Louisville football and basketball fan.
Yeah, real quick, my wife is from Springfield, Kentucky.
His wife's from Springfield, Kentucky.
So she's Washington County area. She went to Washington County High School, and I know the right way to say this. You would think that it's Bethlehem, right? Like where Jesus was born. It's Bethlehem. Bethlem.
Logan's giving you a nod and smirk right now.
Trust me, I learned very quickly. I knew very little about Central Kentucky before I started dating my wife, and very quickly, I found out it's Bethlehem. And there's a fun story that my wife always tells about playing volleyball in high school and a certain thing, but it was against Bethlehem. And so there it is, Bethlehem High School. I was wondering, we have more bodies in here than usual. Half the time you walk in here, you see like one or two people. And then today, it's just people flowing out of every door. So I didn't know what was going on there.
Yeah, Dugan's got Logan in here, Logan O'Brien, to see the ropes, see how the sports radio industry kind of operates in the hands-on aspect a little bit. So
what poor choices in his life could have possibly led him to that room? That's what I don't know.
I think they're family friends. I think their families are connected or something. So excited to have Logan in. He chatted with us on the Running with Roman show. Did a great job. He's excited to see how this new quarterback fares for us, having not played, but we're going to show him the ropes. We'll send him in there a little bit. We'll send him in there after a while. Let you chat with him, too.
Is the YouTube volume okay?
I mean, it's as high as it can be without it sounding like R2-D2, I'm pretty sure.
Without sounding like R2-D2? Oh, like the modulation.
Yes.
It does. I've noticed on the clips, because I did get 5 people sending me immediately the quote from yesterday, which was me saying, it's nice to have access to 3 holes. And I did notice it was a little bit robot-y at times, but we got to do what we got to do.
The higher the volume, the higher the dB their thing, the more robot-y, I think.
We're doing the best we can. I promise that. Gameday Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. If you're watching via the YouTube stream on Big X Sports Radio Louisville, you can chime in there as well. We'll get to the comments at some point today. I promise you that. Let's dive right into the big topic du jour. There will be several big topics today because I think most of it's already out there. I think that everybody knows what I'm going to touch on today when it comes to what's going on with Louisville in the portal. We'll start with what we know. And what we know, Roman, is that we have our 3rd official transfer portal commit on the men's basketball side of things. It is Carter Knox. It will be, I guess, a little bit of I don't want to relive the 3 years ago Carter Knox stuff. Some of the weirdest radio we ever had to do where Kenny Payne was like, we got Carter Knox coming in. And you knew that he was just using it as a leveraging chip to say, hey, please don't fire me. Like, this is why things are going to be okay. And we all knew he wasn't going to come here because who the hell would have signed up for that bleep storm back in the day? 3 years later, Carter Knox, after 2 seasons at Arkansas with Kenny Payne and John Calipari, is headed to Louisville. I tweeted out last night, it is sort of a funny story. I've got, people out and about will tell me things. And last night, I won't name names, but there were folks out at Steak and Bourbon who were letting me know, hey, just so you're aware, we've got Pat Kelsey, we've got Carter Knox, we've got some staff members, I think some other team members. They're all here eating dinner. And I was told, but the funny thing is, multiple people, one who was there as a patron, I probably shouldn't say, 2 different people reached out with the same story, which was the dinner's going on. Everyone's, people aren't trying to ruin their privacy, but everybody kind of is aware that Pat Kelsey was like, all right, I can kind of guess what's going on, but my interest in the situation, I've got to know for certain. So he goes over there and just says like, hey guys, big fan, whatever, when there's a little bit of a break in the action, just, kind of want to know what's going on. And they're outright, like somebody, I don't know if it was Kelsey himself, but someone just like, oh, Carter just committed here. Like it was so like at that point, I'm like, unless he just is lying to people, we've got Carter Knox. I'm assuming we're going to find out the official word tomorrow. But the lesson here, Roman, when you get scoops from Steak and Bourbon, they are always 100% accurate. We have not had a misleading Steak and Bourbon scoop just yet. Other restaurants, sometimes you get led astray. Steak and Bourbon, you go to dine there, you know you're getting the goods. The good food, also the good information. Carter Knox is a Cardinal. He made it official this morning via Instagram. After 2 seasons at Arkansas, the last one cut short by a knee injury, which reportedly should be good to go by the time we start stuff this summer. What are your thoughts on the 3rd official member of Louisville's 26-27 men's basketball roster?
I think it's huge. I think you've got the wing cornerstone and changing what you wanted to do with your recruitment process and bringing in guys who can be very versatile defenders for you, who bring that edge, that competitive edge just with their size and athleticism and the way that they play and operate on the floor. You've got one of those guys. You got a dog. You got a player who can go out there and get deflections with his size. He can guard 1 through 4, 1 through 5 if it's not some 7-footer, or if it's the one's not like a Michael Brown type of one, obviously. Not a lot of those. But you needed to make changes with the kind of players you brought in for that 3, maybe even 4 versatile spot when you want to play small ball. You had to get girthier, Mike. I'm going to keep saying it.
The girth is here.
The girth is here. I also think you wanted to get a player that
we scared the intern in record time.
You wanted to keep getting guys in who have that professional aspect to them, that have that personality type that fits the mold for Louisville basketball. I believe from everything I've ever heard, Carter Knox is definitely that kind of player and that kind of guy. So, he's just finished his sophomore season. You may even get him in he's got multiple years of eligibility. That's always a positive sign as well. That's all I guess I should say about that. But I think this is huge for us. I think that this is kind of like I'm not going to say the final factor in going and changing your philosophy with how you build a team, but this is a very, very big stage in that you've got your 3 spot down, you've got your 4 spot down. A player like Carter Knox gives you a little bit of some options at the 4 spot as well. So I love it. I love this move. I think it's great for Pat Kelsey. I'm glad to see that the staff was excited about it like that in person with players and fans. With fans in person like that and letting them know what it is. That's what you need as well when you're in Louisville. So I think it's huge. I think that the knee injury, though, is a little bit,
Sure.
It's going to sit there in my brain until I go see him dunk on somebody.
Yeah, to start with, God, voice right off the bat. I think getting Knox, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday when Carter Knox was on campus. And by the way, Louisville now 3 for 3 this portal season on getting commitments from players that they've hosted officially on campus. That's been kind of a theme with Pat Kelsey. If he gets the visit, he's pretty good at, ABC, always be closing. To me, going after Carter Knox like this, heavily pursuing him and then landing him on a one-day visit, this is the biggest piece of evidence to me yet that we are going to play a significantly different style. Maybe significantly is too strong, but a style that is noticeably different. I think we are moving away from the Nate Oates, Alabama, trying to mimic the Golden State Warriors type offense. I think that if you're trying to play that style with the guys that we have, and I think some of the guys that we're bringing in, it ain't going to work. And I think Pat Kelsey is obviously smart enough to know that. The whole pace and space thing, I think you have to have an element of that in your offense. But we have brought in now a guard in Jackson Shelstead and now a wing in Carter Knox who heavily utilize the mid-range jumper and do so pretty effectively. If you're going to continue to completely make the mid-range an absolute no-no, I don't think the offense can work with these two guys, and I think, again, some of the guys that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. With Knox, it's also a full-on reversal of the biggest complaint that the fan base has had about Kelsey's teams over the last 2 years. There will be I don't even need to see the rest of the roster. If you've got Badunga and you've got Carter Knox, there will be we got to get bigger, we got to get more physical, we got to have bully ball guys. These are, Badunga speaks for himself. Carter Knox is a full-on NFL linebacker body type guy. Like, he gets off the bus, your head turns a little bit. We saw that last year when we played Arkansas. I know he didn't have a great game against us, but he was one of those guys with the combination of size, athleticism, and just natural physicality where you were like, yeah, they're pushing us around. And we're not pushing back. Like, we've got no answer for these types of guys that we got to get bigger. And Knox is another commitment to that, I think, philosophy. I do think that there are I don't want to overreact. I don't want to do the things that we've always accused Kentucky fans of doing, where if they get anybody, they talk themselves into this guy being a little bit more than he is, and then they do the offseason thing where they just start listing names and like, can you believe this guy, this guy, this guy? I'm like, you're just listing players. It doesn't mean that they're any good. I think there are some limitations to Carter Knox's game. He, at times last season on offense, he disappeared a little bit in big stretches. He probably didn't rebound from his position as consistently as he should have at the 3. I think he'll be asked to do a little bit more of that because I do think that we're still going to try to be a team that does a ton on the offensive glass, maybe even more so now with Badunga in the middle being one of the better rebounders in the country. I think you'll ask Carter Knox to crash a little bit more and use that combination of size and athleticism. He's not a tremendous passer, but there is a lot to like if you can play the style that is conducive to his game. I think defensively he's got the ability to be a really, really big asset for us. You can see when you watch his highlight film, when you watched him play at any point over the last 2 years, that why he was an NBA guy or was perceived to be an NBA guy coming into college. He's got that positional size. I think you slot him into the 3. He's 6'6". I think they say he's 6'5" without shoes, but he's a true 6'6" type 3. Incredible strength, incredible vertical athleticism. He's got a good soft touch around the rim. He's a versatile scorer. I think he can score at all 3 levels fairly effectively. And I think he's a really good finisher through contact. We haven't had good finishers through contact the last 2 years, besides maybe Terrence Edwards. I think Edwards was a guy who could take a bump and use that kind of wiry frame to finish effectively at the rim. He's another guy like Badunga who maybe his biggest asset defensively is his versatility. We mentioned yesterday all of the best defenses in college. Well, not all the best teams, but a lot of the best defenses in college basketball have adapted and gone to this switch everything style. If we choose to do that, and I kind of think that we may, even though I do think we'll put Badunga in some decent amount of drop coverage. This is another guy that can, like you said, Roman, guard 3-4 positions probably at times. Again, like you said, could probably guard the 5 unless it's a 6'9" or above type player.
I think he can guard most guards that aren't lightning quick.
I think he can. I mean, we saw him. He guarded some of our guards in the game back in last November. Was it November or December? Whenever it was, they kicked our ass. So he guarded multiple positions in that game. And I do remember thinking, like, we didn't have it when he got overly physical with guys like Conwell and McNeely and even Michael at times. Like, they didn't like it. And they weren't strong enough to battle back. This is a guy who seeks out the contact. We've had too many guys in recent years they've been good enough to get a step on their man. They've been good enough to get all the way to the rim where they can make a play, and then they don't like the contact. This guy embraces contact. He uses that strength. He creates mismatches. He does a remarkable job of that. I do think there's been an issue with consistency over the last couple of years. I mean, you see him. He was, at the end of his freshman season, he showed those glimpses of, this is why I was such a highly coveted guy. I mean, he almost single-handedly led them to that win against St. John's in the second round, that upset, and then was even better in the Sweet 16 game against Texas Tech. And I think everybody saw that and said, all right, Carter Knox, breakout sophomore season is coming. And there were even a handful of people that said, if he wanted to make the jump, the one-and-done leap to the NBA, he's now got a much better case of doing that, having played the way he did down the stretch. And then the jump didn't really happen this season. I'm not going to say he was bad at the beginning of the year, but he played probably less than he was expecting. I think he was playing 30-plus minutes towards the end of his freshman year, and then is out there playing kind of 20 to 25 minutes at the beginning of the season. Did not look great in that early season game they played against Duke on Thanksgiving, where he looked like he was just sort of couldn't figure out his role. And there was kind of a question about how does he play against the better teams compared to stat stuffing against the bye game teams of the world. Didn't play particularly well against us offensively. Didn't play well against Duke. Didn't play well against Michigan State. Didn't play well against Houston. Did play very well in their win over Texas Tech. Again, I mean, kind of owns the Red Raiders, scored 20 points in that game. But I think consistency is something that Pat Kelsey's got to get more of from him. I know he does like to shoot the three. It's never going to be an overwhelming strength of his game. If we are going to play to the strengths of this roster, it feels like we're going to have to start a new offense. Defensively, you knew we were going to do some different things because we brought in John Anderschek, who's a defensive head coach from Campbell. We brought in Sean Dixon, who was a part of why Clemson's been so defensively successful for the last 4 years under Brad Brownell. Offensively, we made no changes with this staff. Mike Cassidy's still the guy. He's still running the show. Pat Kelsey obviously is heavily involved in the offense, but it feels like those guys, and then maybe Peyton Siva getting involved as well, they're going to have to come up with some new schemes, with some new philosophies. I can't imagine, and feel free to step in and correct me if you feel differently, but there's no way we're going to run it back with last year's offense or even the offense that we adapted to in the second half of Kelsey's first season here. It feels like we're going to have to go with kind of a different look that is more suited to the personnel we're going to have this season.
I think so. I think there's going to be a lot of things that last year's team did that we do, like the Ali Khalifa sets with him in the high post. I think you're going to try to see if you can make anything happen off ball in those kinds of moments. Incorporate a lot of those off ball flare screens and stuff that we had in year one as well. But for the most part, you're going to see a ball handler trying to create for bigs, trying to have a high 2-point percentage with. I mean, that's what Carter Knox is best at. He's getting to open twos, getting to comfortable spots, getting to spots for him to have comfortable twos. Same with Badunga. I mean, he can kind of just bulldoze and beast his way into easy twos, but those two guys are not stretching the floor out there to shoot threes. They're not out there to create in the high pick and roll. So I think that this is definitely a sign that this offense is going to have some different parts to it. I'm really, really excited to see what guys they bring in to incorporate what did work for this offense the last 2 years.
And if you want to call this like spin zone, whatever, you can. Here's why I think Knox can be more efficient or more explosive in a different style at Louisville. So, he's 6'6", he's a 3. I think we'll slide him in at the 3. He can play the 4 if he needed to, maybe even good enough to play the 2 a little bit if the situation called for it, but that obviously would not be ideal.
Pat, there'll be lineups where he's at the 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think at Arkansas under Calipari, everybody knows about the old dribble drive offense. It looks a little bit archaic. It still worked for him pretty well down there. I think that there are times where the guys who play the 3 specifically, and the 2 at times, they don't really know how they fit. Like the 4, Trevor Brazil killed us in that game, right? They know exactly their role is
screen, roll, dunker spot,
corner, right? Like they hang out in the corner. Knox is like, you watch them play a lot, and I watched a decent amount last night when I kind of realized that this was going to happen. He it seemed unengaged a lot of the time, and I think a lot of it was, I mean, people might look at that if you want to criticize and say, well, he's lazy. I think he just kind of didn't know what to do. Like, you see that a lot with the old Kentucky teams. As talented as they were, there were times where the ball just stopped, and it was, hey, the guard go make a play, and it, the center knew where to be, the 4 knew where to be, the 2 and the 3 were kind of like, all right, are we crashing the lane here? Are we popping out to the 3-point? I think Knox, especially not being a shoot first guy from the outside, didn't really know what his role was supposed to be at times at Arkansas. I think in a system, even if we are adapting it a little bit, I would expect Pat Kelsey to have an offensive system with constant motion, constant movement. That won't be a concern. He'll have a place to be every single second we're in an offensive set. He'll know where he's supposed to be. He'll know where he's supposed to be going to. He'll know what he does if A happens, if B happens.
Pat's going to get him dribble handoffs from 12 feet away to where he can make one quick dribble, 2 dribble decisions and get into the paint.
It's easier to be engaged when there's never a doubt about where you're supposed to be going, what you're supposed to be doing.
When you should be taking the shot, when you should be passing it back out.
And I think obviously his skill set lends itself to being a big-time threat in transition, so his usage there should be fairly obvious. But I do think that I think he can be a much more efficient and high-use offensive player at Louisville than he has been the last couple of seasons at Arkansas, especially, when Darius Acuff got so good. You watched them play, and it was sort of everybody just defers to this kid because, 1, he's electric. 2, the offense is centered around him. That's what Calipari wants. And I think for a guy like Knox, who's one of those, kind of like fringe players, there were some questions about how he fit in there. I think he can fit in much better in this offense. Who will be fitting in with him in this offense? I think there are a couple of names that we can talk about after the break. We'll get to that. Keep it locked right here. The Mike Portleford Show, as it has been dubbed by some, continues next after the break here on 1450 The Big X. secret's mine. I push my seat in the... Oh, you can't say that. It's gonna work because I'm pushing it right. If Mary drops my baby girl tonight, I would name her Alvaro. How about that? One of my favorite songs of all time. One of my favorite groups of all time. Shout out to the Roots. Shout out to you for listening to the Mike Rutherford Show. 3 o'clock hour here, 1450, 96.1, Big X Sports Radio. We talked in the first segment about what we know, and what we know is that Carter Knox is now committed to be a Louisville Cardinal for the upcoming men's basketball season. Let's talk about what we don't know, but what we think based on what's going on right now with some of the other portal movements, and also some of the things that are happening with the current roster. I say current very loosely. But the big one that's out there right now, and we mentioned this yesterday as well, Alvaro Folgueras from Iowa was the NEC Player of the Year at Robert Morris 2 years ago. Was a guy that was highly touted, highly coveted in the transfer portal last season. Louisville was involved at one point. Ends up going to Iowa, has a good season for a good Hawkeyes team. Makes probably the biggest shot in Iowa basketball in years and years and years with that game winner from the right corner against Florida in the second round of the NCAA tournament. I'll be blunt. I will be stunned if he's not a Louisville Cardinal. I think that news should be out soon that he's going to be a Louisville Cardinal. I think that this is, I'm not going to use the done deal language, but
Can you pronounce his last name again, please?
Folgueras.
Fulgaris.
Okay. Like F-O, just full.
Not Fulgarius.
No.
Right.
He is Spanish. I mean, so maybe this is the Americanization of his name.
Fulgarius.
But it is pronounced Folgueras. UIE in Spanish, I believe, would be, I think we're right with that. Alvaro Folgueras, like I said, there is a lot to like about his game. We'll talk more about that in a second, because I know everyone's like, well, who else? What else is going on? What's the deal out there? If you get Folgueras, that's 4. And 4 very highly touted, very highly ranked players from the transfer portal. But I do know that everybody is still curious about what's going on with a guy that's a little bit higher ranked in most of these transfer portal rankings, and that's John Blackwell from Wisconsin, who I think, some people have Juke Harris number 1. For my money, Blackwell, whether we get him or not, I think is the best player currently available in the portal. He visited UCLA yesterday. I know Illinois is widely seen as the heavy favorite to land his services. This has been going around, I think, social media and I'm sure other sites on the internet for the last few hours. I can absolutely confirm the reports that are out there, the rumors that are out there, that Pat Kelsey has flown out. When I was told several hours ago he was in the process of flying out there, but he is flying or is now actively meeting with John Blackwell today to try and make a pitch. I will accompany that news by saying there's not a ton of confidence. Like, this isn't a Knox, Badunga, Shellstead, Folgueras situation where it's like, we're making the pitch, we think we've got this. Or we think there's a very strong chance that we're going to make this happen. They recognize, I think, at this point that they're a little bit up against it when it comes to the recruitment of Blackwell. Illinois is in a position of extreme strength right now. The dad really wants him to play at Illinois for obvious reasons. And look, if we're being real, we've spent a lot of money already on 3 players. I think we're willing to spend a lot of money on Blackwell, but there's a limit for everybody. And when you hear some of the numbers that are out there, I'll tell you this, and this is not coming from a Louisville person, this is coming from a basketball person. There are reports out there for other portal players, not named John Blackwell, that there are offers on the table. Guys like Alan Graves, guys like Momcilovic from Iowa State, for $6.5 million for those guys. I mean, someone has reportedly, and maybe this is just coming from the agent, maybe he's trying to drive prices up, but there is certainly widespread speculation amongst basketball folks that Alan Graves has been given a $6.5 million NIL offer by somebody in college basketball. He's a very good player. We're talking about $6.5 million for Alan Graves. I don't think the average college basketball fan really knows much about Alan Graves. They probably did not know who he was before the NCAA tournament. A lot of them probably, half of our listeners, probably more than half of our listeners right now, still were like, who? $6.5 million for a guy who averaged 12 points a game at Santa Clara last year.
Before the tournament, heard his name.
I would not expect a lot of people to know about it unless you're staying up at 1 a.m. watching ESPN2.
Championship games.
West Coast Conference basketball in the middle of January. Unless you're watching Santa Clara Pepperdine at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, you're probably not overly familiar with Alan Graves' game, and that guy's getting $6.5 million, reportedly. So I can only imagine what Blackwell, if we're flying out there and the whole mentality with the guys that we've targeted the most in the portal has been, for our top targets, we're not going to be outbid. I think this is the one where, because we spent what we had to spend to get Badunga and Shellstead and now Carter Knox and now Fulgaris and still trying to want to kind of line up some guys. This is the one where it's like, if it gets to a ridiculous point where Illinois is offering John Blackwell or Duke stepping up to try to get Blackwell or whoever is going to pay him like $7.5 mil, I think that's the point where we got to be like, we can't, we don't have unlimited funds at this point. We can't match that. And if it's all about the bag for you here, then we're probably not going to be able to just give you $12 million to come here and play at Louisville. But PK's going out there to California. He's going to make his best pitch. I know that, Jackson Shellstead has a relationship with John Blackwell. He's certainly doing his best. Badunga's doing his best. I think everybody that's committed to play is doing their best. If you get John Blackwell, then the sky's the limit for this team. I'm not banking on it at this point. If it happens, it will be a whatever term supersedes pleasant surprise, it'll be that. So keep your ears perked, but also don't get your hopes through the roof for Blackwell. If we're talking about
Alvaro Fulgaris.
If we're talking about guys on the current roster, I know there's been a lot of back and forth. There's been a lot of speculation. Who's going to come back? Who's not going to come back? Why have we not heard anything from so-and-so and so-and-so?
Is Woolley coming back or not, Mike?
I think Woolley's coming back.
Nice.
I believe Adrian Woolley is, at this point in time, here's my daily precursor. Everything's fluid. Things can change on a dime. As of right now, I believe that Louisville and Adrian Woolley have reached an agreement for him to return for next season. Now, they had reached sometimes this happens where you reach agreements with players to return, something happens, and the agreement no longer comes to fruition.
Woolley knows better. Go get the tat, Woolley.
Now,
go get the cards on the leg tat, Woolley.
Well, we don't need to do that. Kanai has a cards tat on his leg, and he's about to suit up for Oklahoma this coming season.
That's true. Maybe not.
So, the first thing that I asked, I was like, well, if we did happen to get Blackwell, would that change things? And I was told no. I was told, Woolley's like, if I got to come off the bench, I'm good with that. Whatever Louisville told him over the last couple of weeks really resonated with him. Obviously, I guess they made good on what Woolley wanted to get. He is, at this point, at least he has told them, he is fully locked in on being a Louisville Cardinal next season. So things can always change. I think that you're going to have Adrian Woolley back for next season. I also think, I don't know what it means. I don't know how excited people, I believe London Johnson is back for next season. So there's that, where it's like, it strikes you as the classic.
You need a backup point guard still.
I was talking about the crowd reaction at Augusta over the weekend when Gary Woodland and Kurt Kitayama came up to the tee, and people were like, Gary! Like, everyone's like, Gary! And then, Kurt walks up, and people are like, one guy's like, Kit! All right! Like, it's kind of the same thing where, we're happy for, we don't really know what we've got with London Johnson, but it sounds like, I guess the staff has enough faith in his ability to be a contributor this coming season. They want him back. So
that's surprising.
It's, again, as of right now, I believe Adrian Woolley and London Johnson are both set to return to Louisville for next season.
No word on Vanglis?
I think that ship has sailed. And I think that U of L's honestly really surprised by that. I think that when the season ended, they were like, we should be able to, we're going to probably tell Frew, thanks but no thanks. We're probably going to be able to convince Zoo to come back in a similar role for next season. We love Zoo, all this stuff. And then Zoo goes to them and is like, I want $2 million in a guaranteed starters role. And they were like, okay, well, that's not even close to what we thought this was going to be a conversation about. And I think even after that, they were like, well, him and his agent, they'll get a taste of the open market. They'll kind of see what's out there, and they'll maybe come back down to earth a little bit and come to their senses, and there'll be some bargaining, and we can still probably make this happen. That is reportedly just not happened at all. I think Zoo is, again, I'll never say done deal in this climate, but it certainly sounds that as of this moment, there's no hope of him returning, or at least that's not in the minds of U of L as they're looking to build this roster for next season. So, quick summary. Folgaris, I think we're good. Woolley, think we're good. London Johnson, I think we're good. John Blackwell, we're trying. We're really trying. But I'm not I would bet against us at this point. And then Zoo, I think, is gone. Case and Pryor, I don't know what's going on. He's still posting stuff from Louisville. I don't think there's any way he's going to play for us next season, but there was a time last offseason where that was still the case, or at least that was the mindset, was that Case and Pryor was they had parted ways, and then obviously things changed. Things can always change, so who the hell knows? But that's where we stand right now. We've got 3 players we know are locked in. I believe we've got 3 players that are also about to be known as locked in for next season. We've got 6 guys. We got Will Hankey as a walk-on. How are we feeling about the bones of this team right now, the initial building blocks?
I'm feeling good about it. When you look, like, those names sounded like 5 threes a game if you don't bring Blackwell in, but that's okay. We've new philosophies coming in, new defensive tactics coming in. Maybe going to be a team that's getting out and transition more due to the number of stops we get. So I'm not going to look too deeply into that when they're not completed. They haven't completed their recruiting process yet. Think you need that. You need that Blackwell addition to be feeling great about the offense, like you kind of can feel great about the defense right now. But I don't think many college basketball teams have a better foundational 3 players.
What I can tell you, and this goes back to the conversation that we had yesterday, and this will become a national thing as we inch closer and closer to having a finalized roster over the weeks ahead. The pressure on Pat Kelsey is going to be immense here. I mean, Matt Jones came out yesterday and tweeted, I've been told that Louisville's going to spend the highest amount, how would you know? Who the hell knows? Louisville doesn't even know exactly what its budget is at this point. Kentucky doesn't know. We do know we're spending heavily, though. Louisville is very clearly going to have one of the highest paid rosters in the country. I think people also need to remember, now with Woolley and Johnson, it changes up a little bit. But as of a couple weeks ago, we're like one of the only teams out there, one of the only big power conference teams that had basically nobody returning. So you didn't have any, other schools are not going to be as portal heavy as we are, but it's because they've got returning players that they also are investing money in. Those players are getting paid. That goes to the budget. It just doesn't get talked about as much because it's nothing new. So, but the point stands. We are spending a large amount of money on this roster in year 3 of Pat Kelsey. And you're starting to see it already where rival fans that are getting upset that Louisville is, I've seen people who are like, Louisville's getting every great player in the portal. Whenever there's an announcement about, hey, here's why Carter Knox, I think, is a great player, or here's why Folgaris, I think, it can take his game to another level next season, the big clapback. Do the kids still say clapback, Roman?
Occasionally.
Okay. That means it's perfect for me. The big clapback from rival fans right now. It's not, you can't say, well, they're broke or what. It's good luck with Pat Kelsey. It's, if only Pat Kelsey could coach. Oh, he's won 1 NCAA tournament game. That's now become the thing. He picked them over schools that went to the Elite Eight last year. He's picking Louisville over schools that went to the Final Four. All they're doing is spending a lot of money with a coach who has no idea what to do with this type of talent. And I think that gets put into place because people have long enough memories to remember that there was a lot of buzz surrounding Louisville this time last year when they made those initial splashes. We were the most active early team in the portal in April last season as well. And you knew we had Michael coming into the fold as well. And then that generated a lot of, this is a Final Four team, this is a top 5 preseason team, this is certainly a top 10 preseason team. And then the season starts, and Louisville's not really one of the big stories of the year at any point after like mid-November. We're in the mix. People talk about us, but every big game we play, we're getting beat, and the Michael drama kind of is the only thing people are discussing as you get into February and March. And then we go out there and we have just kind of a whatever, 6 seed, win a game, lose a game, blah, blah. Like, we're kind of an afterthought. People aren't going to remember this Louisville team for very much. And so people are saying, why should this year be any different? That's exactly what Pat Kelsey has to address this season. That's what year 3 is about. Because I can guarantee you one thing. If we spend the money, continue to spend the money that we're already spending, and we land a team that everybody is saying, I'm all in on this Louisville squad. They're second in the ACC. They're number 7 in my preseason top 25. We get all those same types of headlines for another summer. And then we go out there and we have the same type of season again where it's, they're beating who they're supposed to beat, but they're losing to the best teams. They're finishing 5th in the ACC. They're getting a 5 or a 6 seed. Maybe they go to the Sweet 16. Maybe they out in the second round again, but they're never really considered a legitimate contender. You're not going to run that back for year 4. The funds are going to be more limited. The questions are going to be asked, and you're going to have to figure out a different way to take that next step, because if we're a top 5 spender and we don't go past the second round or we don't go past the Sweet 16, it's going to mean that a lot of programs out there who spent significantly less than we did for a second straight year had a lot more on-court success. And you can't justify overspending year after year after year with a head coach who's not getting it done. The time to show this fan base that you can be the guy. And being the guy at Louisville means more than being the guy at Iowa or other middling, power conference programs that don't have the historical reputation of being one of the 10 best in the history of college basketball. Being the man at Louisville means you can consistently field teams that are viewed as realistic national title contenders. You can go to Final Fours. The expectation is to be a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. If he can't show that in year 3, with back-to-back seasons of having one of the highest paid rosters in college basketball, sample size gets too big for everybody to gloss over anymore, especially when some of the other names that are in year 1, year 2, year 3 at their new power conference job are out there going to Final Fours, winning national titles, making second weekends consistently, and doing so with budgets that are slightly less than yours. The pressure's on, Roman. Like, I think we can say that definitively, even though we still have several more pieces to fill for next season's roster.
I mean, you know that it's not like it's sunshine and rainbows with what you've achieved either. The pressure's been on.
It's ramped up.
It is ramped up, though. I can agree with that for sure.
Because I think when we talk about the pressure being on, and you're not wrong. I mean, we had, it's Louisville. It's a basketball crazy town. The general tone of the show and the tone of the text line, it shifts from one extreme to the next based on the most recent result during the
24 hours.
And that's the way that it is. But I think when you look at the big picture, most Louisville fans are the average Louisville fan is not saying, I think Pat Kelsey sucks. I don't know if he deserves a year 3. If he doesn't go to a Final Four in year 3, they should fire him. But also most Louisville fans aren't saying he's the greatest coach we've ever had. Like, this guy's going to be better than Pitino. He's going to be better than Denny Crum. Everybody's kind of waiting for him to show them something to get overly chesty about how good we can be moving forward. If you don't show it in year 3, a lot of those people who are like, yeah, he's been good, but they immediately shift to, I feel pretty strongly that he's not the guy. This is the year, man. Like, I say that without knowing who the other players on the roster are going to be, without knowing what the schedule is going to look like, without knowing what Kelsey and his staff are going to come up with for the overall schemes on both ends of the floor this season. I still say, if you're spending like this on the number 1 player in the portal and a handful of the other top 25 players in the portal, and you're going all in to bring back AD, you're bringing back some other players, you've got to show something more than you've shown the first 2 years. And I think that everything that I'm saying, Pat Kelsey would agree with. It is a show-me year for Pat Kelsey. I'm not saying if you don't go to the Final Four, I'm out on Pat Kelsey, or you don't win a national title. I don't think he can ever win a national title. But you've at least got to have a year where for more than the first month of the season, you look like a team that can go to a Final Four. You look like a team that has a chance to win 6 games over 3 weeks in March and early April. We never looked like that basically after that Arkansas loss in November. We never showed that. And honestly, in hindsight, the win over Kentucky, we probably took more away from it than we needed to, or than we should have, because Kentucky wasn't that good. You've got to give this fan base an entire winter of dreaming the biggest dreams and feeling like those dreams are realistic. If you don't, if it's like last season where it's like, we're not getting the most out of these guys, I don't know if this guy knows how to handle the situation. We're great at getting players in here, but my God, we don't look like a top-tier team. It becomes an off-season where everything's on the table. Every question has a lot more validity than it did 12 months earlier, and it goes beyond show me. It's time for okay, I'm going to be surprised now if he actually does do something in year 4. That's where the pressure is. But that's what he signed up for. As far as other things that are going on right now, that's the primary focus here. I think the staff wants to know one way or the other today on if they're a legitimate threat for John Blackwell before they move on to kind of their lower options. They obviously want to go ahead and I think get the Fulgaris stuff done. I mean, or announced or whatever, and then we'll move on to some of the other portal players. If they don't land Blackwell, knowing that we've got 4 pretty high-profile guys, do you still think they try to swing on one of the 15, 20 biggest names that are out there in the portal?
I think so. I think they are going to feel like they have to.
I think so, too, because, like I said, if they're willing to spend – I mean, the fact that they're even having these talks with Blackwell when it sounds like Fulgaris is in the fold and Wooley's in the fold, and that makes 5 players that I assume are going to be compensated pretty well for playing basketball at Louisville next season. If they feel they have enough left over to even have a shot with John Blackwell, that says to me they've got enough left over to go after a Price Sanford if he were available in the portal type player. You know what I mean? Like a guy who's a little bit less heralded but is still going to command maybe low 7 figures. And I think that that's probably what they would do. I think that that's they're not done swinging. I mean, you could take that money, I guess, and try to find 6 or 7 role players with it, or you can swing big and say we're going for another starter that can be a high-impact player, maybe an all-conference type player, and then we're going to sprinkle in a bunch of guys that we're going to pay $50K, $100K, $200K to make up the rest of the roster. And I think that's another thing that we're talking about when you're viewing the changing in schematics. The days of the whole PK is going to play 10 guys about the same amount of minutes because we're going to play so fast and all this stuff, I think that's going to be kind of done this year.
I hope it is.
I think we're going to go – I think you're going to see – I mean, obviously there will be games where we play 9, 10, 11 players, but I think that you're going to see once we get to next year's tournament time, we're probably going to have mostly a 7, 8-man rotation. And I think you're going to have a lot of guys playing over 30 minutes a game. I mean, Badunga, we mentioned on yesterday's show, he doesn't get in foul trouble a lot. He played over 30 minutes pretty much every single game for Kansas. I would expect the same thing to be true for him at Louisville this coming season. One thing, I was going to spend more time, but I see that we're kind of up against it here. We only have a couple minutes. I was going to spend more time talking about Alvaro Fulgaris. One thing that I really do like about him that I don't think is out there a lot, when you hear, European import, came over from Spain, this will be his 4th season of college basketball, everyone's like, oh, this dude's 25, 26 years old. He's a finished product, but that makes him. Fulgaris is young. He'll be, I think, 20 years old this coming season. That says to me that, you've still got the ability to make a gigantic leap from your junior to a senior season. I don't think he's anywhere near a finished product. He played at Robert Morris for 2 seasons. That's a lower level of basketball. His second year there, he was a double-double machine. At Iowa last season, had to adjust to being more of I don't want to say role player. He played over 20 minutes a game, but was not as high usage there, and I think struggled with how he kind of fit in that system. there's a real chance for him to be even better this season. He has a remarkable feel for the game, Roman. Like, if you want to keep the Ali Khalifa backdoor cut packages in place for this season, Fulgaris will do that.
Mm-hmm.
He's a terrific passer for someone who's 6'10", 230. Always seems to make the right read, always seems to make the right play. He's a capable three-point shooter who I do think will shoot it better this season. Everyone's going to point to the fact that he shot it like 33.3%, not all that great. He's picking his spots. He shot 41.3% a year before at Robert Morris. Again, not as large of a sample size as the guys that we had last season, but I don't think we need him to be that type of player.
If he can be respectable with his other abilities and his fundamental abilities, and being scrappy for a slower guy at that size is huge.
For sure. I mean, I think he helps you out tremendously on offense. Defensively, a little bit more of an issue, but that's where playing that drop coverage with Badunga could help you out if you want to go that route this season. All right, we got to go to break. When we come back, I've got one more thought on Fulgaris that I didn't have a chance to get to. Then I promise, I know you guys are loading up the text line in the YouTube chat. We'll get to you after the break. Your hour's next here on 1450 and 96.1 Big X Sports Radio.
Grab that cash with both hands and
Hour number 2, Mike Rutherford Show, 1450, 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Roman Kelly in the house. Big shout out to all you guys following along on YouTube, as well as the watchers on WBNA Channel 21, unless we've been preempted by Now You See Me Too. Once again, I don't know if that's going on. Gameday Mens Health text line 502-414-1450. We'll get to you guys in a second. We'll also get to the YouTube chat here in just a second as well. Shout out Louisville baseball last night. Roman getting a big win, 7-3 over Western Kentucky. Are we back? No.
Probably not.
Probably not. But a win's a win. We needed it. We got it. Can we talk, before we go to the text line, just briefly about what's happening with Kentucky?
I mean, do you want to talk about the whiff rate? Do you want to talk about the kiss? What aspect of it do you want to get into? It's getting very, very bad down there.
This is what happened when you hire a weird-ass coach. Like, it's exactly what I said after watching that special last year. I stand by my description of Mark Pope to a T. I think he's a genuinely nice human being. I think he's probably a good basketball coach. I think he's weird as hell. And I think you can't, and he's the wrong weird as hell. He's not Rick Pitino weird as hell or John Calipari weird as hell. He's, if you hired, Michael Scott and a combination of Michael Scott and Toby Flenderson, weird as hell. It does not work when you're trying to appeal to 21-year-old men or 19-year-old men. So Rob Wright, for all intents and purposes, he was locked up for Kentucky. Everybody had the same thought in college basketball circles. They've worked out the details. They know what they're going to offer. Wright wants to be the point guard for Kentucky. He's going to be the focal point of the team next season. It's just a matter of getting in, seeing the campus, having a face-to-face conversation with the head coach, and just making sure that nothing is, off. And Rob Wright gets there, and within the first few hours, apparently is telling people, I don't like this. This is not okay. The best sources when it comes to, are people kind of the same age as players now? And, my nephew grew up playing, I should not go down this road because I think this will give away.
No, you got to go down this road.
I can't do it. I don't want to give away. So there is someone close to UK basketball who has relayed it to me that, because, everyone's kind of wondering what's going on. Magoon Gwath is committing to DePaul last night over Kentucky. And I don't want to, it was phrased very 20-year-old way, but again, from somebody who would probably know, just said, Rob got on campus, was all good to go. Pope weirded the hell out of him. Was the way that it was phrased. Pope weirded the hell out of him. What is he doing with these players?
He's got to be the initial dap up. He's clearly going for a lower back hug and grabbing a little bit of butt or something.
Is he grabbing butt?
He's grabbing. What else? How are you immediately weirded out? What are you doing to immediately weird out a player who wants to sign on the dotted line? He's ready to go. At this point, there's it should be only basketball talk and who your teammate talk is going to be when you're dealing with a player like that who's already prepared for the numbers, the pricing, the role. It's like you walked him into Keeneland with your hand around his lower waist.
I hesitate to give Kentucky too much credit on the show, but I'll do it when it comes to a situation where we're making fun of them. You're Kentucky. You were 15 years ago, people would have paid you. Really good players would have paid you top dollar to go to school there.
They might have been.
It's Kentucky. You should not have a hard time getting some of the best players. And also, even if you weren't Kentucky, you've got more money than everybody. How is he this bad at connecting with the players that he needs to be coaching? I will give Kentucky fans credit for this. The memes that they've, the self-mocking, the being able to laugh at yourself, so some of it is just fantastic right now. There's a message board post. So Rob Wright has now officially announced that he's going back to BYU. And the UK poster just said, we got college men who would rather sign a celibacy pledge than play for Mark Pope. That's what we're working with here. I don't know if he's pulling out his Hamilton raps when he meets these players, thinking that it's impressive. I think he has got, like, there's no human element of him that knows how to connect with 21-year-old kids these days. That's a huge issue when you're, like a ton of your job revolves around your ability to effectively connect and communicate with 18 to 23-year-old young men. He can't do it. He's too weird. I wouldn't trust Mark Pope. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. That I was about to make a porn joke, but he can't get it done, Roman. He can't. Like, they're going to end up getting some good players, and their fans will talk themselves into, well, we can make this work. We still got some good, because you're Kentucky.
What are you saying to these kids? Wilkerson was a done deal last year. Ready to go.
You looks maxing? I'd rather be IMAXing. The people are like, I can't play here.
It's like, are they bringing their girlfriends with them? And you like, both of you guys are gorgeous or something. Like, are you complimenting these guys' physical looks or something?
I don't think he would creep them out in that way. I think he would sit them down and have a very stern heart-to-heart talk about the dangers of premarital sex. And that's the way that he would creep them out. I think that's what's happening here. It's not butt grabbing. It's not he needs to spend some time in the Baja Blast room. It's like
he's telling their mothers that they can't be drinking caffeine.
Something like that. The dangers of having black coffee in the morning.
You shouldn't.
I mean, there are a lot of mock, like I said, the UK fans are doing a lot of self-deprecating humor, which is great. I mean, Lord knows the only way I made it through the Kenny Payne era. But some of the fake reports that are out there.
What's up with Kissgate? How does that even become a thing?
Like, I'm doubting the validity of everything right now. Like, there was the one today where it's like, I can't believe this, but I've heard that Mark Pope on these visits, he takes the kids into his office and makes them watch 2 specific episodes of the Andy Griffith Show and says that the way that they react to him tells them a lot about who they are as people. I'm like, I don't even know if that's not true or not. Like, is that fake? It sounds like something that's very believable. Or he asks them what their favorite color is, and if they say anything besides blue, he lectures them about them not being prepared, and he won't take. I'm like, maybe everything seems like it's on the table with this guy. He's weird as hell. He's just an awkward human being.
Rob Wright, who was just at BYU, within minutes of his visit, is telling his camp that something's not right here?
That he's being weirded the hell out.
You were just at the maybe weirdest D1 power level program you can be at.
You're in probably the weirdest portion, section of America. And I mean, they're telling young men, like, you can't have sex, you can't drink coffee, you've got to sign this code of conduct saying you won't do any of these things. Oh, by the way, have you heard about this crazy crystal palace that you get to live in if you do everything right while you're on Earth here? It's incredible. He hears all of that on a daily basis. He goes to Lexington, Kentucky, with this basketball crazy community, the place that had, John Wall and Anthony Davis and, all these great legendary basketball players who went on to star in the NBA. And he's like, this is the weirdest thing that I've ever dealt with in my entire life.
Can't do this.
I can't handle that guy.
I'd rather go back to that.
I'd rather have 1,000 other marks in Provo, Utah, cheering for me and then later lecturing me about the dangers of holding hands in public with girls. That's where they are right now. I don't hate it.
I'm wondering what that left hand did on the dap. Did he dap up and then go with the half hug and then?
I don't want to think about what his left hand.
Did he put his left hand a little too low? Did he when he went in for the dap? Did he brush his cheek up against the face of Rob Wright? Like, what happened?
I'm going to tell you exactly how this is going to play out. I've got a very lengthy history of correctly predicting things that happen.
He did the face-to-face hug with his recruit. Mike, you do that with your lady. You don't do that with anybody else. Maybe your lady's like, Mom.
He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to be a human being. That's the biggest problem here. This isn't going to work. They'll be okay next season. They'll end up fielding a competitive roster. They'll have some moments where it's like, could he back? They'll beat Tennessee again or something like that.
They'll limp into the tournament because of how, quote unquote,
yeah,
powerful the SEC is.
They'll make the tournament. They'll They won't go far, and the new AD, whoever they bring in to replace Mitch, will say enough's enough. We've got to go in a different direction. Like, everybody's fed up. UK will do what they do in these situations, which is completely go the opposite. They are going to bring in the least moral, most depraved head coach who can have success that they can find out there. They're going to hire Todd Golden. They will, like, if Florida goes out there and underachieves a little bit next season, and Todd Golden, he's like, these Florida fans that, they don't care that much about basketball and they're trying to criticize me. He will jump at the opportunity to go to Kentucky. And they will bring him in and say, you can creep on all the 19-year-old girls you want to here.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
That's what they're going to say. You can go to Keeneland in the spring and
You wear whatever you want.
Keep those sunglasses on, but look wherever you want, Todd. Look wherever you want. As long as you're signing the 7-figure players that we're bringing in for those recruiting visits that weekend. That's going to happen. Mark it down, April 15th. And if they can't get Todd Golden, we'll see how Will Wade does this year at LSU. He's an option. They will bring in somebody so morally, they will become instantly a lot easier to hate. But they will bring in the most morally depraved, I want him cussing at his introductory press conference type coach that they can find. It will be a hard left turn, a complete 180. They won't do this again because this is
Be Bruce Pearl.
I don't know about that. Could they get Pitino back for like 3 more years? I wouldn't put it off the table. I'm just saying. But there are funny things happening right now, and everybody's kind of what the hell's going on? Like, everything that I've heard is it's relatively straightforward. The guy's just too weird to connect with these players. He doesn't know how to be a person. He can't be a normal human being. That's a problem anywhere. It's especially a problem at arguably the most pressure-filled job in all of college basketball, maybe in all of college sports. It's not great. All right, Gameday Men's Health text line 502-414-1450. Gameday Men's Health, redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy, and more. If you have needs in these areas or any others, visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com today to find out what they can do for you. Texter says, this Ohio guy, first up today. With the roster put in place so far, anything short of a Final Four and ACC regular season title is a failed season for Patrick Kelsey. There it is.
He copied and pasted this text from a year ago.
There it is, right there. Who's your starting 5 as of right now?
Shellstad.
Yeah.
Woolley.
Well, he's not official yet. You can only go with the guys that we have that are officially committed.
Okay, we'll go Shellstad.
Yeah.
Hankey.
Yeah. Obviously. I would say Badunga.
I'll go Badunga. I think he's got enough to be in the starting lineup at this moment. I think Cox. We'll give it to Knox as well.
Let's call him Cox.
That was an accident.
Okay. Carter Cox. Now what if he decommitted now?
We still need one more spot now.
Do we have another walk-on?
We do, but we don't know the name of him yet, right? Isn't it another kid from local school?
Yeah, I think so. If we do get a commitment from Fulgaris, I think he's got a shot to be a starter. I'll say that. I'll go out on a limb there. Texter says, hey, Mike, if we get Fulgaris, what do you think the dynamic will be with our current signees? And which team do you think this lineup models well after this past season? It's looking like an obvious system change is on the way, so which team philosophy would you like us to mimic?
Spanish national team.
Is that a real take?
I want them to talk Spanish out there.
Well, I mean, we have one player that I know can do that. That'll be great. I mean, this is the big unknown. This is the big, with Fulgaris too, his biggest asset is his unique skill set. Like, he did not rebound well for his size last season. Didn't really need to on that Iowa team. I think we'll ask him to rebound a little bit more out of the 4. He's not a great defender, but he's got a set. He's the classic always makes the right decision. Sees the floor incredibly well, knows the game incredibly well, shoots it well enough, is a creative playmaker. But that doesn't really fit with the other guys that we're bringing in right now, who are more just pure aggression, physical, trying to get the ball to the basket, try to finish through contact, do all of those types of things. how do you incorporate all these different skill sets, all these guys that seem to fit well with different types of systems, and create one cohesive unit that operates effectively under one main style? Like, you can have specific sets in place for Fulgaris that you don't have when he's on the floor, like we did with Khalifa last season. But Fulgaris, I think if he does lock in here, he's going to be used a lot more than Ali Khalifa. He's going to be on the floor a lot more. You can't just have these 2 or 3 sets that we run to make Ali a point forward, and then we're going to bring him back out 3 possessions later. This is why the coaches get paid a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. I think that Pat Kelsey, something like this is just fully what I believe and what I've seen these last 2 seasons. He's not going to abandon getting those shots up.
No,
he's going to have the 3-guard lineups against those teams where you can do that. He's still going to have the pace of play and shooting lots of threes against teams that are going to allow that for. I think he wants to have that other option to where we can just give the ball to one of these 2 bigs and say, go be bigger than him. And you can rely on that. We haven't been able to rely on that ever.
I think if you want, to try and answer your question, and it's still so early. We're talking, like I said, we were joking about it a second ago. We've got 3 players that are committed. I think we've got 3 more that are in the fold, but those aren't official yet. If we're operating under the assumption that they are, and we're looking at the 6 guys that we have, who can you mimic the most? Out of the teams that were in the Elite 8 last year, or the teams that were the 10 best in the country, I think probably UConn's the closest to that type of makeup. And even they had a bigger point guard or primary playmakers in Ball and DeMary, but they had the physical 6'10", 6'11" big in Reed. They had the 6'8", 6'9", 4, who was more of a perimeter threat and kind of a big-time playmaker in Caravan. I think that would be where Fulgaris would fit in. They had, Braylon Mullins is a different player than Carter Knox, but they're both about 6'5", 6'6" at the 3. And then you obviously would need to find somebody to play alongside of Shellstead, in addition to Woolley, who could be kind of form the solo ball, Silas DeMary, Malachi Smith backcourt. But I think the makeup is similar there. And I think you could play a similar style. Now, I don't think we'll ever slow it down as much as UConn does under Hurley. We may not be top 25 in tempo again next season, but we're also not going to be in the 200 or the low 200s, 300s in tempo. So, and that's what UConn did. They wanted to win with defense last season. They were more of a defensive-minded team. I think we have the potential to be a much better defensive team, but Pat Kelsey's been historically more of an offensive guy, and they're not going to just punt on offense next season to be a low possession, try to grind it out, win ugly 66, 64 type games. They're still going to want to score. So, go ahead.
Got a text from Rashawn here about this topic in particular.
What's he saying?
Fulgaris is perfect for the system. You go with the Shellstad Fulgaris middle pick and roll with Flory in the dunker spot and your shooting guard and Knox in the corners.
Perfect for what system?
Make the defense make a decision. I guess just for the system in which you're playing the Fulgaris at the 4, still spacing the floor out and still getting to utilize your bigs.
Yeah,
giving the option for shooting and giving the option to take advantage of the size still.
Yeah, that'll be his role. That was his role in Iowa. I think it's just a matter of what are we going to consistently run? How much high pick and roll do we want to use? How much do we want to get out in transition? Do we want to play? Go ahead.
I want to see some big to big pick and roll.
Yeah, we could do that a little bit for sure. I think that they'll try to expand Flory's game a little bit, but he has primarily been a dunker spot lob threat, and that's his biggest strength. So, Dolphins guy texted him.
Aiden Sherrill to Indiana.
Is that out there now?
I believe so. John Rothstein.
Not a shock. I think we said that yesterday. You want to talk about a program that doesn't seem like it's changing philosophy? Indiana was kind of soft last year. I think that maybe they're going to be a little bit first.
The first reply is incoming NIT MVP.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Everybody's handling this, navigating this in different ways. Texture says, Dolphins guy here, Mike, the same portal news have been beaten to the ground. Give me 3 names that you think we could get involved with to fill out the rotation as bench pieces. I know that's what I gave you. Had kind of been already out there today, but I wish I had better intel on some of the lower level guys that we may target. I don't think that they've really gotten that far along that road because they're waiting to see what Blackwell does. That will be kind of tomorrow's story if we get to that point. Riddler's got a riddle. You ready for this?
Yes.
Riddler returns with weekly off-season puzzles. Round 2 is here. The Riddler of this go-around hustles. While not as delighting a spectacle as when Mark Pope poop nuzzles his portal targets who realize he's a dork, the blue blood has been muzzled. This legend was but a single-digit short, but he imposed himself as a defensive fort, an absolute menace, a Philly Eagle. It's Wiley Brown, right? No, wait, that can't be right. Is that hint even legal? He invented a symbol while he was here ashore, the highest of fives. No, wait, was it for? Well, it's Wiley Brown. A title under his belt, he must be respected. Who is this athlete? The first signature a young Riddler ever collected. I'll let you sit and ponder on this, as I hope I've bamboozled you into a miss. Let's not forget BBN, who finds himself in a whiffing abyss. Mark Pope smooched Rob Wright. Hilarious. Because where did the kiss thing come from? Did this just get made up out of thin air, or is there some substance here?
You're supposed to know this.
I don't know. This was news to me yesterday. All I see is people making the same joke over and over. I don't know where it like the genesis of this came from.
I'm assuming he went in for a peck on the cheek during the dab.
Why? Who does that? You ever casually kissed a friend?
No.
Let alone somebody you're trying to
Who loses a recruit who wants to be there in minutes?
A potential client? What if you just kissed the intern in there when you met him for the first time? Wouldn't have gone over great. It would have the same effect.
Logan wouldn't mind.
Stop. We don't want to. You're poping him.
It's different.
You're poping the intern. That sounds terrible when you say it that way. The answer to the riddle is Wiley Brown. He did play for the Philadelphia Eagles. The high five or four, obviously a reference to the missing thumb. That's the answer.
Did Montrez used to make a hand symbol in photos? Okay, that sounds bad. In Louisville team photos, was Montrez? I'm pretty sure this isn't just something.
Can I ask why you're bringing this up?
Because I'm remembering this. I want to know if this is a thing I'm remembering about Louisville basketball. If I've got an incorrect team that I'm thinking of here, but didn't we have somebody that in all of their team pictures they used to make some kind of hand symbol with both hands?
I don't think so.
I thought Montrez or maybe Russ or somebody used to
in team pictures.
Yes, two hands like this downward diamond they would make with their hand. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm making this up.
Now, throwing the rock back 15 years ago was a big thing. So maybe that's what you're thinking. People used to, the Rockefeller, they would throw that. Ramel Bradley, I remember, used to do that for Kentucky whenever he made a three. That was a big thing. I don't remember Montrez ever having a
team photo, doing it in between, holding his hands in between.
If someone tried to make a hand gesture during the official team photo, Rick Pitino would have absolutely drop-kicked them out of Floyd Street. That would not have happened.
You're right.
Yeah, no way.
I got to go figure out what this is.
Now, Luke used to do the three to the dome gesture after he made shots. Peyton Siva had he did that kind of the shaka, whatever thing, the surfs up gesture. His Polynesian roots. But besides that, no, I don't remember Trez ever doing that. I kind of feel like you're trying to get him in trouble for throwing up a set.
This was the thing. I got to figure out what this is.
What set are you repping? Trevor's stepdad says, rumor has it that Pat Kelsey asked Carter Knox during his visit here during the Kenny Payne era, or asked what Carter Knox did during his visit here during the Kenny Payne era, and then did the opposite of that, and that's how he got the commitment. I mean, Kenny Payne had Carter Knox just basically tied to a chair and was like, take this video telling the people that you're here with me. Remember that video? It was like a hostage situation where Carter Knox was on campus, and he was like, I'm here with my main man, KP, in Louisville. And Kenny Payne's like, what's up, guys? And everybody was like, this looks like he's being forced to read cue cards. I'm okay. If you could send a snack pack and $10 for cab fare, I'd appreciate it. It was horrible. Those were the worst days. That was maybe the lowest of lows. Texas, is poping the intern similar to pegging the intern? No. Well, for Pope, maybe. Boxcar Bob says, Roman, shout out for suggesting the 1912 Society for U of L News and Discussion the other day. They are on it with the recruiting info. Also, I think UK is going to need to change their On3 forum name to Jumping from Rupp's Rafters. Mark Pope once again proving that money and brand can't overcome off-the-charts weirdness.
Shout out to 1912 Doc, showing me some love, getting me into the 1912 Society. They do, I mean, I didn't, just now getting into what he's talking about here, and they cover everything pretty early as well. Shout out to Doc and the guys running that page there and the Discord there. They do good stuff.
Have you ever, I mean, anybody who's ever dated like somebody who's very attractive but incredibly weird knows like there are very few things that off the charts weirdness can overcome. Like you realize this isn't worth it. Like this is she's gorgeous. She comes from a very wealthy family. I can't be around her for 5 minutes. I'm freaking out.
Been there.
She's sending me into a panic attack with just the way she's looking at me. This is not worth it. That's basically what Mark Pope's doing to Kentucky right now. Off the charts weirdness tops everything. Let's go to break. When we come back, more from you guys. Gameday Men's Health text line. We'll check in with YouTube Nation as well. Your thoughts roll on here as the Mike Rutherford Show rolls on. 1450, 96.1, Big X Sports Radio.
Joe is back at Everything Concealed Carry.
Asleep. I can see Mark Pope being like, "You guys like the Killers?" I'm just breaking into this. Maybe this is him thinking about Rob Wright. I don't know. It's the 4 o'clock hour here, the Mike Rutherford Show, 1450, 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Roman Kelly in the house. Give him a follow on Twitter at Romy Bean. We've also got intern Logan back there in the house. Logan got his first targeted message from the text line.
Logan, you want to go out? You want to go join Mike in the studio in there? We'll turn your mic on, let you chat for a little bit.
You can pop in here. I mean, I was just going to say, it's like a hate text already.
Oh, yeah. He did use the there was a hate text, I think. There was a couple, actually, I think.
There always will be. People want to test you out. They want to see what you're made of. They want to test that merit. So, they I don't think this happened with intern Jenna because our listeners were too afraid to do it to a woman. But when we had what was the intern? He ended up working for KRC. It was the UK. Like, he immediately got thrown into the fire. I think he lasted 2 days here before he ended up going to KRC. But the text line's already targeting Logan because of his Bethlehem. Because it says, tell Logan, screw Bethlehem. I'm a Bardstown grad. Logan, what do you have to say for yourself?
I mean, I beat Bardstown soccer and baseball.
He's already talking smack. So. He's already talking smack. I love it. You gotta. That's how you gotta let the text line know you're not here to play around. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. We've also got the YouTube chat rolling on today. A lot of YouTube listeners. We appreciate you guys tapping in over there. We want to make sure that the YouTube Nation does not get ignored. So here we go. Southern Card said, oh no, Pope just whiffed again. See, it's one of those things I don't even know if that's fake or not. Maybe he may have had another Pope whiff. Who the hell knows? 82 Atlantic says, hey, Mike, I realize you'd rather watch the Big West and Summit League over the NBA. That's true. But you missed a great game between Terry Rozier's former teams. Bill Simmons joked that the losing team was forced to sign T-Row. Hilarious joke, Bill. I did catch part of the game last night. Didn't catch a lot of it. I'm single dadding for 2 more nights. Mary doesn't get back until tomorrow afternoon. So I didn't get a chance to watch a ton of it, and I was watching the Reds also. But Hornets Heat it delivered. And then the late game, I didn't watch any of it, but I heard that it was very good as well.
It delivered as well.
Blazers going on the road and knocking off the Suns in the 7th versus 8th place game.
Up double digits late, completely lose the lead in the 4th, and gain it back.
I mean, but the highlight of the night was LaMelo, unnecessarily aggressively shoving the Hornets mascot after he was trying to dap him up. I've watched it 15 times. It was incredible.
He made it's kind of wild. He made 4 of the most boneheaded decisions you can ever see on an NBA floor throughout that game. Both during the game and then little stuff like that. And then when it matters most, though, he got the job done.
But isn't that why people like the Hornets? Nobody takes them seriously as a big time threat.
But it's this feel-good story because they are all playing with this playfulness. And then on top of that, have the best offensive rating in the NBA.
Well, yeah, whether it's really good or really bad, they're going to do stuff that's going to be on TikTok and be funny. They're an easy follow for the casual NBA fan or the casual basketball fan. And it was what happened. How many did LaMelo score last night?
Was that his 30th point?
30?
Yeah, that was the
2 of 16 from 3 though.
And then Con Knippel was just as bad from 3. These were number 1 and 2 in 3-pointers made this season. Con Knippel went 0 for 6. LaMelo Ball went 2 for 16. And they still won the game and scored 127 points.
I saw how, people love doing when there's been something that's been established for a lengthy period of time in the middle of a season. And it's well, it's done. He's going to be the MVP or he's going to be this or he's going to be that. People love at the 11th hour having a contrarian take. And I've seen people over the last few weeks be actually, Con Knippel maybe should be the rookie of the year. And since then, he's sucked. Ever since that became kind of a mainstream take, he's not been good. Cooper Flagg's the rookie of the year, right?
No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Knippel was not good last night, too.
Yeah, they made a 9th seed. Great.
Yeah.
Good job.
He went 2 of 12 from the field, scored 6 points. He is now, over their last 4 games, he is 7 for 46 from 3.
Bad.
It's not good. It's not going to get it done.
It is cool, though, that, I like all the takes and stories that are being made about him. Kids need to learn these things, the fundamental things, the screening, the moving. You don't have to be able to create off the dribble and be a crazy elite shot creator to make it to the NBA. If you do all the little stuff at a very high level and you're sizable enough, you're going to be good at basketball. And he is kind of the epitome of that, which I think is cool. I think it's easy for me to feel that way as somebody that, was hating on him this time last year. But he's proved me wrong. One of the most fundamentally sound players in the NBA already as a rookie, which is a cool story. But, like you said, they're not really a threat.
Also, don't make fun of Big West basketball. Big West basketball is fantastic. I mean, today, Peter Maestrovich transferred from Long Beach State to Pepperdine. I have the ability to genuinely say that's a good get for Pepperdine. Good get for the Waves. He can fill it up a little bit. You know why? Because I watched Long Beach State play basketball after midnight a couple of times this past season. Summit League, I'm a South Dakota Coyotes man. I got the South Dakota basketball shirt that I still rock. I enjoy the Summit League as well. Best nicknames in college basketball. You got your Mastodons. You got your Coyotes. You got, now some of the teams have moved on to. You had the Leathernecks, Western Illinois. Great conference. Don't knock it. Watch it. Enjoy it. Producer Keith was texting me last night and saying he wanted me to piss off the listeners as much as possible by spending like 15 minutes talking about Lou City's cup set last night. If you didn't know, Lou City knocked off an MLS team for the first time in 8 years in the round of 32 of the U.S. Open Cup. They're calling it a cup set. Cup set. A term that I had never heard before last night, but now I've been saying liberally. Lou City at home in front of the home crowd at Lynn Family Stadium knocks off the team. What's the Austin team name?
They're the Austin FC.
You're our soccer guy.
Austin FC. I forget what they are.
I think that's just Austin FC. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're relevant.
Let's just. Well, they can't beat us in the U.S. Open Cup. Lou City, the boys in purple, advanced with a 2-1 victory last night. Now it is just Austin FC. Now into the round of 16. Speaking of which, we'll have Lou City head coach Simon Bird on the show tomorrow.
My first Lou City game at Lynn Family Stadium
was last night.
Was last night. Got to see both goals in person. We were actually like standing in the half of the field where they were the goal they were attacking, which was the opposite end of our seats, and we were standing right by the corner where both goals were created. So that was awesome, getting to see them really super up close firsthand.
It's also a very stealthy way for you to take personal credit for the win.
I mean,
which is
well done.
Well done by you.
I was basically on the pitch where the action was happening. It means something, right?
I mean, I would take full credit for you. Kidding me? Well done. I still bring up the fact that the one time they had me out there to be the honorary coin flipper, we won 5-0. You make me an honorary captain, all we do is win. That's all I'm saying. 5-0 over the team from Pittsburgh, whose name I can't remember. Again, we'll have Simon Bird on the show tomorrow. He'll talk about Lou City now as they get ready for the fun. We got the Thunder game coming up, always one of the most well-attended games at Lynn Family Stadium this weekend. They're in the round of 16 of the U.S. Open Cup. They're off to a great start as they look to. I mean, the regular seasons haven't been the issues the last couple of years. We just got to get it done in the playoffs. There you go, Producer Keith. Spent like 5 minutes on Lou City there. Dockery says, I'm hearing that Roman still picks his nose. Is that true?
No. Is you on the YouTube chat?
Yeah.
No.
You don't pick your nose? I mean, everybody picks their nose occasionally.
I mean, when you're
get stuff in there.
You're driving more than 20 minutes, sometimes, but not daily, not regularly.
I do think
I have a deviated septum. As I've told you, self-diagnosed. I have this.
You can't self-diagnose a deviated septum.
Snot,
or use it as an excuse for picking your nose in public.
Clear snot running all day, daily. So I blow my nose all throughout the day. Not a lot of dryness up there.
One of my favorite human phenomenons, and I play into it as much as anybody else, is, we get into our cars. It's like, I mean, literally windows on every side of us. Massive window in front of us, massive window behind us, 4 windows surrounding us, other human beings all around us, and it's like, let's go to town picking on that nose. Let's get up in there. Like nobody else in the world exists. I do it all the time. I'm at a stoplight, and I'm like, I don't even care. It could be somebody I know right next to me watching me, and I'm doing it.
Something about being in the car. I don't know.
So we have an issue. So I did have a nose picking problem as a kid. And apparently that's genetic because John is constantly in his nose. And he also, like me, is a big fingernail biter. And we went in to be the mystery readers at his school like a month ago. And John, like we're getting on the verge of having to do one of those things where you put like the nail polish on the end of his fingers or something that tastes bad so that it'll keep his fingers out of his mouth. We don't want to do that, but it's getting to be a problem. And we're up there reading, and he will not stop biting his nails. And I'm like trying to be quiet about it. I'm like, hey buddy, get your hands out of your mouth. He's like, you do it in front of the whole class. I was like, come on, not the time for an argument like this, buddy. Stop. But he's a gold digger. It's not good. We got to work on it. Let's see. Mr. Hobbs said, are we worried with any lingering injury or lingering coaching issues with Knox? The latter, maybe. The former, I don't think so. It wasn't like a full-on ACL tear. It's not like a Jaden Quaidon's case in prior type situation. This was he went, was it mid-February? He played in 22 games last season, but had a meniscus injury. He also had a hip injury early in the season, but I don't think it forced him to miss any time. He underwent surgery, the left meniscus, in mid-February. It does sound like he should be okay. The other stuff, people talk about he had a toe injury, he had a butt. It's just kind of a product of the way that he plays. When you're that physical and you're that much of a contact seeker around the rim, you're going to get banged up, especially when you play the type of schedule that Arkansas played last season. I have to imagine that the staff did their due diligence here. It's kind of the same conversation we had with Jackson Shelstead about the hand injury. Like, are there concerns? If there were concerns, I would have to imagine that the staff has vetted them, and then it went into the negotiations. It went into the conversations they had with the kids themselves. You're not going to take somebody, after what you went through last year with Michael Brown, you're not taking a player who you have doubts about their availability once the season starts. I have to assume that all of these guys are going to be good to go once we get to November. Texture says steak and hurt him. I don't know if I like that. Sean says, I love seeing Louisville crip walking through the portal, spending pip money, buying championships, and putting our, I can't say that, bleeps on the table after years of disrespect and disregard. I'm effing here for it. L's up. LA Lakers 17 says, no Luka, no Reeves, Lakers in 5.
That's what we need. That's the energy I like to hear.
Is this one of your friends?
Oh, it's actually not. This is he's one of the only people who comments on the spot. You know how we post on Rashawn's Spotify page as well?
Yeah.
He comments consistently on those podcasts.
When does the Lakers series start?
Is it tomorrow or Friday?
It can't be, because they still have the opening rounds.
Oh, no,
I think
right.
Until this weekend.
I
think it's some series.
Game one will be Saturday.
Okay, I knew it was Saturday or Sunday. They're playing the Rockets, right?
Yes.
I'm a little nervous for you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. We'll see what LeBron can do.
I don't need you bringing a pissy attitude into the show.
No, I'm not.
Because last year when they got beat early, you were kind of, you did the Eeyore thing.
Barcelona got knocked out of the Champions League live on air yesterday. We went up 2-0. We tied it on aggregate 2-2.
All right.
The remontada was on, and I didn't react at all. I didn't say anything about it yesterday.
I'll give you extreme credit for that, because that happened, and I had no idea.
And I was struggling yesterday from about 3 to 5.
There have been shows in the past where there has been a noticeable change in your tone, and I have asked what's going on, and then you reveal that Barcelona has given up 15 goals to West Bromwich Albion, and you're flipping out about it. So, yesterday was a big show. I came back after the Masters stuff and not being able to be on Monday and reacting to the big portal news. So the fact that you were able to put your personal fandom aside, that you're maturing. You're becoming a true pro.
Doing my best. We'll do the same here with this
You're doing
series.
great.
When we're down 3-1, and I'm thinking there's a chance still. We'll see if that can hold.
Robert Holt says, dude, Javon Hadley lived at the rim.
In year 1 he did.
He shot a lot of threes, too. I mean, he was 2-level scorer. Didn't take mid-range, obviously, but he was an effective rim scorer and effective three-point shooter. I mean, he ended up being our best percentage three-point shooter last season. Patrick Queenan says it looks like starting 5 is nearly assembled, and it seems like we've spent a lot of money. We're going to have to get creative to find players 6 through 9. What are some potential names you've heard? Like I said, I think that I'm sure they've got a list. They haven't really gotten there as far as there was an initial list of players that were kind of in those lower tiers that they were interested in. We mentioned Brett Decker, who I think they felt like was a layup for them until Baylor came in with a 7-figure offer, and that's you've got to pick and choose where you're not going to be outspent. And their big thing for the last 4 months, and it's something that I've repeated on the show, is they have specified, they have made it a point to say, we're not going to be outspent when it comes to our top targets. And they haven't been. I know we've talked about, yesterday there was the news that's out there. It's not, I don't think, Paulius Morauskas has not committed to Arizona State, has he?
I haven't seen it yet.
Has that happened? It certainly sounds like it's going to happen. And I would guess that people listening kind of knew this already. we're not losing out on Morauskas because we got outbid by ASU. Like we made the highest offer for him. I think that's why a lot of people thought it was a done deal that he was going to come here. At the end of the day, he really has a lot of respect for Randy Bennett. He wanted to play for Randy Bennett, and when Bennett took the job at ASU, it was always going to be tough to beat. And as long as they gave him like a competitive offer that was in the ballpark of what these other programs were going to offer him, he was probably going to go there. We offered more. Wasn't enough, and he's going to play for Arizona State this season. So, I think we've held true to that. We have gone out there. We've dropped the biggest bags for the biggest targets, and as a result of that, we formed a pretty solid core. Now, currently have the highest rated transfer portal class in the country, and this is where the dollar earning comes in for the coaching staff. Everybody knows who the best players available in the portal are. Can you go out there and identify the players with untapped potential that are being underutilized at their current homes, that you can get for value, but you say, hey, if we put this guy in this situation, he can be a Daimara from Michigan last year, who goes from relative unknown, underutilized player to a consistent, capable contributor on a team that's really, really good. Like, this is what separates the teams that are really good and have great portal hauls from the teams that have great portal hauls and are elite.
Not to mention those guys aren't cheap anymore either.
God, nobody's cheap anymore. Like I said, $6.5 million for Alan Graves. What are we doing? What are we doing here? The numbers are outrageous. This can't continue. But for right now, this is the world they're living in. Dinkelberg83 says, "What's up with this audio? Turn down the mic sensitivity audio, please."
We're doing it down a little bit. I've got people every day. At least one or two people are telling me to do both: turn it up and to turn it down. So
you can also tell when people are just kind of tapping into Big X Nation for the first time, because the people who've been with us for a long time are like, I just can't believe you guys are on the air consistently. Like, I'm glad I can hear any part of the show. We used to have to be. We were doing the show over in Jeffersonville. It was 50-50 if you were going to hear 45% of the show. We're doing pretty well, all things considered. McGreenery, I can't read that. Robert Holt said, "Is White Thunder gone as well?" Who's White Thunder? Is that Zoo?
I think so.
Yeah. Then if that is, then yeah. Freckles said, "Where is this money coming from, huh? We bought one of the best portal classes last year, too. This isn't shocking to me." I think we're borrowing some of it. But also, I mean,
like that.
Yeah, but, one other thing that I think you're not having to, exactly what you have to work with now, because there's no spring portal for college football. This time a year ago, you were having to navigate, first of all, this is the first year of the revenue sharing fund where you've got $20.5 million to spend on your actual athletes from the universities. So you've got more of a, kind of ballpark of exactly how much you have to work with. You can go out there and get outside funds, but we have essentially spent all the money that we're going to spend on football for the upcoming season. This time a year ago, that wasn't the case. Like, you knew that there were going to, once spring practice wrapped up, there were going to be some big available portal targets that we wanted to go out there and get, and that it was going to take top dollar to be able to get. I think there's still a little bit of money set aside for football, but with there being no spring portal, like, your budget's basically set with football. So they had an exact idea of how much leftover money, if you want to use that phrase, was going to be around for basketball this season. And I think that also has allowed them to have a better idea of what they can and can't afford when it comes to this year in the portal. So that it does bear repeating, and that's not just for us. There are other programs out there in the exact same boat. This is the first year where we've had that. There's been a spring portal for football each of the last 3 seasons where NIL and portal and this stuff has been kind of a thing, and this is the first time that there hasn't been. Freckles says, Conwell, Michael, Woolley, Hadley, Frew, etc. weren't cheap last season. They were cheaper than they would have been this time a year ago, or than they would be this time now. I mean, I remember hearing, this is how quickly things have changed. The first year of Kelsey being here, remember we got Terrence Edwards really quickly, and we got Chucky Hepburn a little bit after that. And it was, the murmurs were out there. It's like, we're spending $200K for these guys. like $200,000 for Terrence Edwards. And everybody thought, that's a reasonable amount of money. He's a great player. He's the Sun Belt Player of the Year. He's going to be a big-time performer in the ACC. If you wanted to get Chucky Hepburn or Terrence Edwards now, again, just 24 months later, like those guys would cost you $3.5–4 million. Chucky was a huge deal in the portal for us, and it was a little bit late in the game, relatively speaking. We got him for, I think quite literally a tenth of what he would cost today. It's why you keep hearing people say this isn't sustainable. At some point, this has to burst. Chucky Hepburn is a better player than Alan Graves. Terrence Edwards is probably a better player than Alan Graves. And Alan Graves is getting $6.5 million, and those guys got $200K. That's how much things have changed in just 2 years of this. Dockery says LJ stuff just changed in the last hour. He won't be back. The London Johnson stuff?
So there seems to have been some timing differences on the accuracy of the London Johnson news.
Okay.
Based on when you said it and from what the group chat people who follow media in that way have heard and what they've said. Sounds like there was some back and forth with London, then that was reported, and then you reported your news before the accurate news from someone else was reported. Does that make sense?
No, not at all. All I know is as of this morning, I can tell you, as of 9:30 this morning, London Johnson was planning on coming back. So if that's changed since then, that's changed since then.
I think what you're saying is what's accurate, and people who had heard about this beforehand hadn't heard that yet.
Gotcha. Nate says Matt Jones is trying to put the highest paid team pressure on U of L as a cope for not having a team and being terrible last year with the highest paid roster. It's 100% what's happening. Freckle says Knox, Zoo, Badunga as our 3-4-5 is crazy physical. Zoo's not. Unless something crazy happens, Zoo's not going to be back. Sean says all these poors keep pocket watching what we're doing at Louisville. On one hand, I love it. On the other, I'm like, F them. Now PK better win games since I'm talking all this big talk now. That's like right now is the celebratory period. All summer long, it's going to be the he needs to show us something period. Star Wars says last season we relied heavily on outside shooting teams and we weren't as athletic to counter when ran off the three. Yeah, I mean, I think what you're finding out, and it's not just us, the teams that have mimicked that style, people called it the proification of college basketball, that 5-out, everybody shoot threes, trickling down to lower levels of basketball. And yeah, it was kind of a revolution thing. Here's the deal, though, when it comes to playing like the Golden State Warriors, you've got to shoot like the Golden State Warriors. And I think we found out.
And screen and move off the ball.
All that stuff. Hey, Isaac McNeely getting a little bit of space for a three isn't the same thing as prime Klay Thompson getting a little bit of space. And I think we found that out the last few years. The margin of error, especially when you have deficiencies, when you're giving up a ton defensively to have just shooters, you've got to be able to overwhelm those deficiencies by being excellent in the areas where you're supposed to be excellent every single time out. And when we didn't shoot well from three, we had no other plan of attack. We had no pivot.
Not to mention that those shooters in those NBA systems are also some of the best defensive players.
Exactly.
On the other end.
Yeah, I mean, it's
best defensive two-guard, defensive player of the year in those teams. Like the most successful teams in the NBA that have been in those three-point shooting eras. We look at the Warriors and that when they did it. You look at the Celtics when they did it. Miami Heat even that are one of those defensive teams that's gotten there. Every other player that wasn't a defensive key guy was one of the Duncan Robinson who could light it up. Tyler Hero who could light it up. Truly elite level shot makers. That's the only way those systems work.
It sounds great in theory.
Unless you have literally 4 6'8" guys and a 7-footer, and at least 4 of them can shoot.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. I think people are also realizing, the level of what works at the highest level of basketball doesn't necessarily work at the I don't know if you want to call if you want to look at just American, like the second highest level of basketball. Sometimes you need to simplify things. When you've got great athletes who have exceptional size, but maybe aren't as skilled as the guys in the NBA. If they were, they'd already be in the NBA. Hey, get them as close to the rim as possible. Like, give them as many opportunities to score from 8 feet in as possible. And you saw that work exceptionally well at the college level last season. Let's see. Sean says, I don't like a 6-7 rotation. I like a deep bench. With Louisville's track record of injuries and the greater potential of foul trouble for the big guys, I want some depth to counteract that.
The last 3 national champions. Sean, while I typically would normally agree, the last 3 or 4 national champions have all been about 8 deep.
Short rotations when you get to March that's how Coach K always did things. It's how it typically goes. Obviously, you change things up if you've got players that are injured, but you're right. The teams that have played 10, 11 guys big-time minutes outside of that 2015 Kentucky team have by and large not been top-tier national title contenders. Freckles says, my favorite rumor is that he's having them watch Andy Griffith's episodes. I think that's my favorite one, too. And when I first read it, I was like, is that real? Dockery says, Kissgate. Next 502 Baller says, y'all hear that Pope tried to kiss Rob? Where is this coming from? I need to know how this rumor. Usually I don't care. I need to know where this started. If there's a semblance of truth, we got to know. Look, this is the first time I think we've ever tried to get through all the YouTube comments, and we didn't get it done in a segment. We're going to have to go to break. When we come back, we'll finish up the YouTube chat. I promise we'll get back to the Game Day Men's Health text line as well. 502-414-1450. It's the Mike Rutherford Show. Hour number 3 is next. You're on 1450 The Big X.
How do you like me now? Now that
back in. It's hour number 3 here. Wednesday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. I've been thinking it's Thursday all day today, which is weird since I missed Monday. It's just long days, man. Being a single dad in this week has been a little bit rough. These kids are just didn't help. So I made the grave mistake last night, Roman, of I get home after the radio. Well, I picked Virginia up. She had dance class. We get home. We do the requisite. Give them a little bit of playtime, dinner. Virginia does her homework, and then Mary calls. She's got a little break in her work conference stuff from Nashville. And they're all like, we want to FaceTime. We want to see mommy. We want to see mommy. And so we see her, great conversation. Like the kids are laughing. They're giving her hugs through the phone, all this stuff. We get off the phone. John loses it, Roman. Like I'm talking 45 minutes of just like, I miss my mommy. Like bawling before bed. And I'm sympathetic, obviously. And I know he's tired because I've had to get him up earlier than usual because I've got to get Virginia ready for school. So he's getting like an hour less of sleep. Plus this weekend we weren't around, and so things I think get a little bit hectic. But he's like losing it. But at a certain point, like I'm tired too. It's been a long few days, and we're trying to read books before bed. And he's like, I just want to see my. And I'm like, buddy, you said it 150 times. She's still not here. Made things exponentially worse. Like he just absolutely lost it. So I lost. Thankfully, he fell asleep like 15 seconds after we finished books. But it was the countdown to mommy returning is absolutely on. And I'm glad she's back tomorrow. His teacher walked him out when I was at carpool this afternoon, and he was like, she said, the countdown for mommy to return is on. John said, she's just my favorite girl in the whole world. And I, of course, texted Mary that, and then she was like, I'm crying. I'm like, good God, you guys have been apart for 4 days. You'll figure it out. He's such a mama's boy. I don't know how to combat this. Roman, did you cry a lot as a kid? I can't see you as a big crier.
I don't think so. Well, I probably did.
You don't strike me as that.
I was told that I would get tickled to tears because the family thought that was funny.
Yeah. John is also very ticklish, but I was a shy kid. I was very quiet, but I didn't I kind of kept it all inside. John does not do that.
I was a crier in adolescence.
Were you really?
Yes. I say that 10, 11, 12 years old, cool dad. The fear factor worked.
See, I only cried.
If I got a C- on a test, I was on tears on the bus going home, which is probably looking back, not the greatest, but
it's probably justified.
I mean, C-. Knowing I'm walking home to a yelling and grounding and didn't know what level of intensity it was going to be because of a below average grade. I mean, it got me where I am today, so I wouldn't go back and change it. But it's a funny reflection when you look back.
I think I only did it when we lost big sports games, and that was a thing. I vividly remember we got knocked out of the city tournament in basketball in 6th grade, and when my mom had to be like, Michael, you can't keep doing this. That was the moment where I was like, all right, I really gotta step it. If mom is saying, because my mom never criticized me for anything, I was like, if mom is saying this, it's got to stop. We got to get better about this. But anything else, I was pretty just keep the emotions in check, keep it inside. But if we lost a big sports game, the tears were flowing. That was bad. It was rough. But John John cries if you look at him the wrong way. I don't know what to do with that. I'm not gonna be the mean dad. I'm not gonna be you got to toughen up. But I absolutely want to be. I'm admitting it on the radio here. We have a lot of text to get to, a lot of YouTube comments to get to. It's been another eventful day here on the Mike Rutherford Show. 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Carter Knox is a Cardinal. We may have Alvaro Falgueras as a Cardinal soon. We may have Adrian Woolley back in the fold very soon. London Johnson as well. Louisville, obviously, there's been talk today about Pat Kelsey flying out and meeting with John Blackwell, trying to get him on board. Maybe a little bit of a long shot, but still a shot nonetheless. We're all ears on that front. The other thing that we have not had a chance to, we mentioned the baseball team's victory last night over Western Kentucky, much needed. The women's basketball team. Yesterday, huge day for Jeff Walls and company, getting commitments from 3 of the best players in the portal. Today, all 3 of those commitments became signees. Karis Baker from Virginia Tech. Denia Prawl, who had been at Tennessee, former McDonald's All-American, 5-star recruit, and then Zamaria Jones, Zam Jones, who had been a fantastic player at NC State the past couple of seasons. They're now all officially in the fold for next year. Jeff Walls both coaches are doing what they said they were going to do during this offseason, Pat Kelsey says we're going to spend, we're sick of paying everybody. We're going to spend top dollar on the biggest players in the portal, and then everybody else can get what they get. Jeff Wall saying we're going to retain our core. If you weren't part of the core, you may have to find somewhere else to go because we're going to bring in 3 to 4 really high-level transfer portal players. He's done that. Immediately gets his best 5 players with eligibility remaining from last season's team to lock in for next year, and now brings in 3 of the most highly touted players in the transfer portal on the women's side of things. Louisville's going to be good next year. I'm telling you. The days of yeah, they're fine, but they're not a real, just getting to the second weekend would be a successful year. Maybe getting to the second round would be a successful year. Those days are gone for at least the next couple of seasons. Louisville will go into 26-27 with extremely high preseason expectations, and that's the way it should be. Walls has been building towards this for a couple of years, and now I think we're there. Let's finish up the YouTube chat. I think I think that was the first time we've had a segment where we're trying to get through all the YouTube comments, and we haven't done it. Got a lot of people reacting today. 5 more comments about the Kiss game. I don't know where the Rob Wright Kiss thing came from. If I find out, I promise I'll let you know. Super Mid Gaming says the rumor is Mark Pope makes recruits watch The Undertaker versus Mick Foley Hell in a Cell match and talk about how it changed their lives. I think that would be 15 times more effective than what it sounds like is actually happening when Mark. I mean, the Hell in a Cell match, that's incredible. Mick Foley almost dies 3 times. One of the greatest matches of all time, Roman.
Is that the one where Undertaker jumped from the top of it?
Well, that's when Undertaker throws him off the top of the cell.
Off the top and then jumped on him?
Choke slams him through. Well, he doesn't jump on him.
Choke slammed him.
He choke slammed him through the cell. Crazy.
Yeah.
You had to be there. Midwest Reaction says, good thing Otega Owe had a massive star turn in Pope's first year. He was ranked as the 170-something best transfer at the time, so nobody wanted him. Without that, Pope is awful year 1, too. They're probably awful last year, too. Can you imagine it if all of this was happening on top of them losing to Santa Clara in the first round? Now, winning that game, it was a great moment. It was one of the best moments of the tournament, a great moment for UK fans to remember. I don't think it ended up changing much because you got blitzed by Iowa State in the second rounds, and that's not the standard for Kentucky. I think this would probably be just as bad if they had lost to Santa Clara.
It'd be a little worse.
The Santa Clara jokes, though, would be out there in full force because, as good as the Broncos were this past season, that's a mid-major program. They hadn't been in the NCAA tournament since Jason Kidd was there. It's a long time, and they don't exactly have that name recognition that you would expect a team knocking Kentucky out of the NCAA tournament to have. The jokes would be there, but the jokes are pretty much already there already. Pruchiki said UK used the genetic engineering department in the medical school to bring back another Adolf to coach the hoops team. This is more like it's not an Adolf, it's a Joseph. This is a Brigham. This is the Mormon. I shouldn't. We don't need to go down that road again. A2 Atlantic said LaMelo injured Bam Adebayo.
Try to trip him up.
Oh, did he?
It's like the second time he's done that to Bam specifically too. He had a play, I don't know if it was earlier this year or last year, where Bam Bam makes LaMelo miss. LaMelo's on the ground. I mean, it's a full-on Grayson Allen type of moment.
Oh, really?
He straight up grabs his leg and he Bam nearly falls, and I think it's something similar like that happened last night. I watched the game, but somehow missed that play between LaMelo and Bam last night.
I don't like that. Interesting. The Hornets are fun to watch. I'm not the biggest NBA guy in the world, but I do watch the playoffs, and I kind of want them to be in the main draw just because they're fun. I get it. If you're not going to be like a full-on NBA guy, you kind of want. I'm taking a TikTok basketball approach to this. Give me the highlights. Give me the fun teams. Also, quick shout out: Javon Hadley is playing in the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament this weekend, which is one of the bigger postseason tournaments. Kind of pre-combine tournament where the best seniors in college basketball try to make their case in front of NBA teams and international scouts. A lot of players, if they perform well in Portsmouth, they end up getting that combine invitation or end up getting on the radar of some of these European leagues. And he's playing for the Portsmouth Sports Club. They've got their first game. They're taking on Sales Systems in the first game of the tournament at 6 o'clock tonight. Best of luck to Javon. I know he's got plans for businesses post basketball, but hopefully, I mean, he's good enough that he can make a living playing a game for a decade or so, whether it's in the States or not. And there are, as fun as it may be to run a business and to do all that stuff, getting paid a lot of money to play basketball is also not a bad way to make a living. So best of luck to him. Hopefully he can get some love, make a combine appearance, and position himself to make some solid money playing basketball for the foreseeable future. Last couple of YouTube chat comments. Roman, are you saying Con Knipple plays the game the right way?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
He's kind of like a... He's like a second coach on the floor out there.
As soon as I said it, I knew this was...
People say that he's a gym rat, Roman. He's the first guy in the gym for practice and the last guy out. He's super gritty.
Does all the little stuff.
Son of a coach out there. Sneaky athletic, I would say. Not known for his athleticism, but he's a heady player, really cerebral, makes the right decisions out there. I'm just now realizing I also said that about Fulgaris like an hour ago. He's Spanish though; it's different.
See Knipple's brother, he's like 6'10", already lighting it up.
I mean, all that whole family. Like we had this talk when he first burst on the radar like 3 years ago, because Louisville was one of the first schools to recruit Con Knipple, and I had no idea how to pronounce his last name. I'm like, Nupple? Like what? Like, is it just Nipple? How is this? And then we got a lesson, a background of their entire family. The whole family balls out.
Yep. Dad, mom, and all the kids.
I would love to have a Knipple in Louisville.
Especially the 6'10" one.
The Pittsburgh team in USL is Riverhounds. There you go. XFit says, Mike, forget the merch. Give us the Masters snack haul.
How was the pimento cheese sandwich?
So here's the thing about the Masters food. Like, it's more notable for the prices than for what it actually is. Like people try to make, they're like, oh my God, like is it the best food ever? It's not the best food ever. It's just, it's crazy that you can go to one of the biggest sporting events in the world and not have to pay like $11.50 for a hot dog with ketchup and $18 for a domestic beer. I had 3 of the pimento cheese sandwiches, $1.50, incredible. And they were good, but like it's the same as the pimento cheese sandwich that I eat pimento cheese sandwiches at home. It's essentially the same thing. The lack of labeling though is crazy. Like they have sports drink there. It's like Blue Powerade, but they call it sports drink. There's no branding on anything, which is wild. I'm trying to think of what else I tried. I had 3 pimento cheese sandwiches.
Did you get the Masters Club?
Mary did, and she loved it. She said that was the best thing there. The breakfast sandwich I thought was incredible. I loved it.
I saw a video about those.
Breakfast sandwich is good. It was like sausage, bacon, and cheese. I thought it was really good. Mary didn't, but she's not the biggest breakfast sandwich person to begin with. I'm trying to think what else. The chocolate chip cookie was fine. It was standard chocolate chip cookie. The peach ice cream sandwich I thought was terrible.
Really?
Did not like it.
That's up your alley.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know. The peach ice cream had no taste. It just tasted like I was eating 2 frozen sugar cookies. But there was some guy.
Was it chocolate for the sandwich part?
No, peach ice cream. Peach ice cream in the middle of 2 sugar cookies. 2 plain
literally
sugar
2
cookies. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we ran into this guy. Like we shared like one of the stand-up tables with him, and he's like, "I'm gonna eat a dozen of these last year at the practice round we went to." I was like, "Damn, those must be good." I didn't even finish it. Was not good. The chocolate chip cookie was the better way to go. Had the crow's nest beer that they have there. It was pretty good. It tastes kind of like a Blue Moon. The domestic beer that they had, they're not supposed to say what it is, but it was Stella, which is fine. So had some of those. Just try to stay hydrated as much as possible. I'm trying to think. I know we ate the cheese straws. I enjoy a good cheese straw. Those were actually pretty good. But the big thing is just how readily available it is and how smooth everything works. It's not like you're going there for the fine dining. You're not going to get a 5-star Michelin restaurant experience with the food quality. It's just the fact that it's readily available and it's cheap and it's kind of unique. It's different than you would see at most golf tournaments. But the food, it was solid, but it wasn't like I'm dreaming about that pulled pork barbecue sandwich. It was fine. Joel says his wife and daughter live in California. I don't know who that's in reference to. Do we know? I can't remember what we were talking about. This is the problem with the show. Sometimes we have goldfish brains. We'll go back to it. Presley Meyer says Smoochgate. I got to know more. I need Rob Wright on the record. Can we get Rob Wright on this show? What's the likelihood that we can get the BYU point guard on a team-specific college sports show in Louisville, Kentucky?
So why didn't you want to go to UK?
I'm just going to, we have him on for one question. I'm just going to ask you straight up. We don't need much of your time, Rob. Did Mark Pope try to kiss you? And then when he gives his answer, we're like, yeah, it's gone.
Bet if you tried your hardest with getting the agent's contact, we maybe could.
No. Joel said that kid he's talking about the kid that's going to ASU. He's married.
Maroscus?
I mean, he's following Randy Bennett. That's the big thing. He may have family in California, but he's going to Arizona State because his head coach at St. Mary's, the one that convinced him to go to play college basketball, is going to Arizona State. Sean also says YouTube land appreciates you and Roman. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Now we've got a billion texts on the Gameday Mens Health text line. 502-414-1450. Okay, remember the texter who talks about how his friend wants to beat me up?
Yes.
Remember we had a totally normal show in the summer, and this guy's like, I don't remember how it came up, but he's like, I'm black, I love you, Mike, but I've got a friend who just, he says if he ever sees you, he's going to fight you. I was like, why? We've never gotten a reason for it. He says now, Mike, my buddy that wants to beat you up gave me a reason that he says he doesn't like you. Apparently, he says you're 2 weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. Roman, your thoughts?
No comment here.
You don't want to get into this?
No, please.
It's the easiest way to launch into a conflict. I'm not going to say anything until you say something.
No.
I want you to speak on this.
Where's your proof?
I'm just. I almost got you. Texter says, "Is Pat Kelsey the greatest portal recruiter of all time?" First time texter, Cowboy.
We discussed this on Monday's show.
The thing is, you never know until you actually get out there. Portal rankings don't matter. What would matter if we went back and re-ranked last year's portal rankings? Because where did we finish in most portal rankings? We were like top 3, right? Some people probably had us number 1.
It was like 5 or 6, I thought. But
were we that low? For some reason, I thought we were like top 3 across the board. If you went back and looked at it now, it'd be hard not to say that Michigan had the best transfer portal class. Yaxel, even better than we thought he was going to be. National runner-up for National Player of the Year, Big Ten Player of the Year. Morez Johnson, sophomore breakout star after being really good as a freshman at Illinois, probably even better than we thought he was going to be. Mara, we've already mentioned it several times, goes from basically not playing at all at UCLA to being the starting center for a national championship winning team. Like, that class at the time was seen as being good, very good, but maybe not as good as ours or St. John's or Kansas State's or whoever's. In hindsight, very clearly looks like they got the best players out of the portal. So you just never – I mean, AJ Storr was the number 1 ranked player in the transfer portal class 2 years ago. Sucked. Like, did nothing.
Forgot where he went.
He went to Wisconsin. Or went from Wisconsin to UConn, and then last season had a little bit of a bounce-back season for Ole Miss, but Ole Miss sucked.
That's right.
So it didn't matter. Nobody cared. He went to – he averaged – 17 points a game at Wisconsin. I said UConn. Kansas is where he went 2 seasons ago. Did nothing for a Kansas team that did nothing overall, and then went to Ole Miss this past season and was like, good.
Real strong wing player, right?
But he wasn't just viewed as like a good. Everybody had him as the number 1 player in the portal. There was a consensus about this, and he wasn't that good. So you just never know until you evaluate these things again at the end of the season.
I knew that kid wasn't that good.
You didn't know that.
I did know.
Stop.
Jumper was broken.
Stop. Texas Mike, why do you think Keon Webb is less sexy than Carter Knox? Is it the hair? So we have not talked about this yet. Louisville football did add a player. There is technically no spring portal season, but the portal does not apply to lower levels of college football, including junior college. So Louisville feels like kind of an old school route. You used to hear about JUCO players committing at this time of the year. Louisville does get a commitment from defensive lineman Keon Webb, who had played at Garden City Community College. If you ever watched The Last Chance U, the second one, the one with the maniac, the Jason Brown guy, they played in that same league, which is highly competitive in mostly Kansas in the Midwest. He played there, was pretty highly sought after. 6'6", 300 pounds, has 3 years of eligibility remaining, played in 11 games last season for Garden State, 37 tackles, 6 for a loss, 2 sacks. If you look at the other schools that were going after him, a lot of SEC programs, a lot of programs that have playoff aspirations for this upcoming season, part of that may just be because there's a limited number of players available right now, so you've got to go after the best available if you've got spots to fill. But if you're beating out teams like Auburn and Tennessee and whoever else for a player at this time of the year, you got to feel pretty good about it. And Brom, has mentioned, we feel very good about where we are at the defensive end position. We probably need a little bit of help in the middle of that defensive line, which shouldn't come as a huge surprise. You lose Jordan Gerard, you lose Rene Conga, who were very good for us in the trenches last season. You need depth, and I think this is a good depth piece for Louisville moving. If nothing else, it's a big kid. Like he is. That's DT size right there, 6'6", 300 pounds. So happy to have Keon Webb in the fold. Why do I think he's less sexy than Carter Knox? It's the JUCO thing. It's not the hair. Don't put that on me. Let's see. Texter says, do you hope to see a slight philosophy tweak from the offense? How deep do you think PK will go rotation-wise? I don't think there's going to be anything slight about it. I think we will look very different offensively. Like Roman said earlier, we're not going to abandon the three-point shot because nobody abandons the three-point shot. I don't think we're going to slow things down to a snail's pace either, but I do think you could see us play more. We have the pieces to run.
Yeah.
Knox would be a great transition piece. Jackson Shelstead obviously wants to push pace. He's very quick off the bounce. We'll see who else we can bring in to the fold, but
ideally, you have the tools to be a top 10 team in transition points per game. I think you have the ability to still be a team that can be that and shoot a top 30 threes per game in attempts.
But there's a science to transition basketball. It's not just, hey, get the rebound and go, 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 go. We were on the break a lot last season to set up the three. We'll probably use the transition game this season to try to get to all the way to the rim. We did less of that last season. This is a team that I think wants to get downhill, wants to tilt the floor a little bit and try to either draw fouls or finish at the rack this coming season. As a result, I wonder if you scheme that way. North Carolina, for decades, has thrived on a secondary break where, just because you get back doesn't mean that we're not going to attack the glass with a full head of speed. And that's an offense. Like there's a scheme there. And I wonder if Pat Kelsey and Mike Cassidy tried to implement that a little bit during this offseason. Texas Kelvin Sampson guy here. We haven't heard from Kelvin Sampson guy in a while. I feel like I've been more positive on PK than most this offseason. I was just as disappointed as everyone else with this season, but I knew he could coach basketball. My biggest concern with him is, can he adapt? And is he willing to adapt? It seems like he is. Go Cards. He's shown, I would say he showed a willingness to adapt midway through his first season here. When we lost Pryor and Corin Johnson, we were forced to play a different style. I think when some of the guys that they brought in to shoot the three weren't shooting it as well, we did pivot in the second half of that season and saw great results. But this is obviously a bigger change. The staff changes, the difference in the personnel that we're targeting and now bringing into the fold definitely indicates that we're going to have a philosophical shift. Can he do it effectively? We're not going to know until November. So the second part of that question, it's great that we're changing because I think we needed to change, but is it going to produce results? Who the hell knows? Texas, do we think that maybe PK could see early where the Michael situation was headed and that's why he stopped going after Stokes because he didn't want to go through it all again? I don't think that. No, I don't think the two things are related at all, because if anyone is going to shut it down next season, it'll be Stokes. Maybe I'm giving Pat too much credit here. The concerns about Stokes were already very much a thing before there were any issues with Michael. There were murmurs even when Louisville was being talked about as a top contender for Tyron Stokes, that Louisville had serious concerns and that maybe there were some concerns from the Stokes camp about Louisville. So I don't think that there's any relation at all between the experience with Michael and what's happened with Tyron Stokes. By the way, with all this stuff that's out there, I'm doubling down on what I said yesterday. I want Tyron Stokes to go to Kentucky. It's the worst marriage in the entire world. Stokes will coach the team if Pope ends up signing him. disaster's written all over it. I hope they spend $10 million on Tyron Stokes. He'll play in 10 games. He'll get kicked off the team, or he'll fire Pope himself. It'll be great. Maybe he's good enough to make it work. Who the hell knows? Podcast Random Thoughts guy says, Mike, so you double dipped with Timmy's tickets, did you? Tell me why this is the perfect image for Mike and TK. And Roman, please give me hope for the Pistons. I don't think that image is at all perfect. Roman, how do you think the Pistons? My buddy lives in Detroit, is trying to jump on the Pistons bandwagon now that the Red Wings are out of the NHL playoffs. Do they have hope?
I mean, it depends on how you conclude to what hope is. I think they get out of the first round. I like the matchup that they would potentially have, whether that's going to be the Magic, the 76ers, or the Hornets, one of those three teams. I like the Pistons to handle all three of those teams. I think when you're talking about the next round, a potential there's no reason for the Pistons not to get to the conference finals. I'll put it like that. When you get there, though, I don't know if it's the Celtics playing at a high level, the Celtics are going to beat them. If it's the Knicks playing at a high level, which they're going to have to make that adjustment to get there, I'd pick the Knicks. And if it's the Cavs, who I don't see getting there, if something changes offensively with outside of Harden and D. Mitch for them, and they're playing at a high level, you'll feel more confident about that offense. But the Pistons, at the moment, got one of the best defenses in the league still. So there's still some hope. Got to have hope when you've got defense.
All right, we got to go to break. When we come back, we took a football update. A little football update coming your way. Also some texts. Back after this on the Big X. Gotcha. 4 o'clock hour here. It's the Mike Rutherford Show, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Hey, if you've been hurt in an accident or on the job, the Collier Law Firm is the place to go. Tony Collier and the crew. Lifelong Card fans, they're excited about baseball season. They're excited about summer season. They're excited about football on the horizon. And they're excited about helping you if you are in need of help. Collier Law Firm's been proudly serving the community for over a decade. You know about the attorney fees, just 25%. They do that because they got your back, not your wallet. Give them a call at 502-736-8141 or go online to collierlawfirm.com, COLYER lawfirm.com. Hurt in an accident or hurt on the job, call your law firm. Roman, would you like some football scoop? We've had plenty of basketball scoop.
Getting ready for some football scoops, and Anna Fruit commits to Marquette.
I told you that was going to happen yesterday. Listen to the show. We got it here first. Although I don't think I was breaking any crazy news. I think that was kind of out there already. Best of luck to Sananda. It's weird. He's transferring into a program that notoriously does not take transfers. You know, Shaka Smart has, for better or worse, been this guy who's like, I'm not going to do the portal thing. We're going to develop players the standard way. Worked great 2 years ago. Worked horribly last season. I think he now kind of realized he needed to pivot. Look, I won't. I don't know how much I should say. Marquette is investing heavily in Sananda Fruit. He will be the highest paid player that they're bringing in, and he'll be the highest paid player on that team. We'll see if that's the right way to compete in the Big East. I've got some doubts, but I wish Sananda nothing but the best. I think he was a good kid. I say kid. He's a man. Had the right attitude, worked hard, just did not have some of the intangibles that we needed him to have to be an effective 5 for this team this season. But good player. I hope he has a great year. On the football side of things, I know we had we kind of set off the Josh Hurd, Jeff Brom feud with the Brom interview that we did a couple of weeks ago. Update. Contract negotiations are getting better.
Nice.
Does that make you feel better?
It does. We don't need to be going into this.
We don't need to be having a feud.
Very crucial season to our future here, really, with contract feuds and office fighting, and
we need to get the trust back. I mean, we need to. I know Josh. The whole thing is he's like he doesn't think that Jeff really got an offer from Penn State. I think that Jeff tracked down some proof, maybe showed that to Josh. Hopefully that has helped improve the relationship there. But they are talking. If there was the fear that they were just going to ignore each other for the next several months and this was going to be a thing that lingered forever and all this stuff, there are conversations happening. I think that there are still concerns on both sides. They haven't reached level ground on a couple of issues. The buyout thing is still out there. I don't know why, honestly. I can't believe that this has become such a talking point. But from both sides now, both sides have come forward with the same thing. There's progress happening. There's talk happening. They're getting closer. I kind of said last week when this thing, or I guess 2 weeks ago when this thing reached a fever pitch, that I didn't think we were going to have a solution to it before we got to next season, and that maybe Josh was going to wind up just waiting and seeing how the year played out. It does sound like that's maybe not the most likely scenario anymore, and that they are both eager to get something done before we enter into the summer months. So hopefully, that would be some good news to have over the next couple of weeks as we get out of portal madness and start looking ahead to zany summer radio. So there's talk on both sides. Both sides are saying they feel pretty good about the progress. There's progress, no deals, but there's progress being made. Does that make you happy, Roman?
It does. Makes me feel good.
Makes me happy, too. What doesn't make me happy is that we have 1 billion unread texts. Let's try the best we can to get through some of these. I'll try to skip over some of the ones that are repeating things, but 502-414-1450 is the Gameday Men's Health text line. Texter said, is there still a chance that any of the guys transferring in could decide to go to the NBA? I think Badunga was at least going through the process, right? That's not a concern. No, we're good. They won't go. Not with the amount of money that we're talking about here. Texas Pat's offense doesn't highlight athleticism like Calipari's.
Calipari's system relies on athleticism, though.
Pat's offense also is shifting. Pat's offense last year isn't going to be Pat's offense this year. Calipari's offense is pretty stagnant. That was ultimately the reason why he didn't last at Kentucky. They wanted him to change. He didn't want to change. He brought the dribble drive down to Fayetteville to go coach at Arkansas. Pat Kelsey is not, I think, I'd be shocked with the way that we're attacking this offseason. Pat Kelsey's not married to this 5-out, pace and space, run and gun, take a billion threes, get up and down type offense. It sounds like we're going to shift things. And based on the guys that we seem to have for next season, it needs to be an offense that highlights all athleticism and physicality. So that's the next step. Get the players back first, figure out how to design a system that best accentuates their strengths. That's for next month. Texas says, do you think it's still a possibility that some of these players from last year who have entered the portal may be coming back still? Do you think PK would want them back with this new scheme we're seeing to form? I mean, who would you, at this point, Kanai's committed to Oklahoma.
Douglas are the only two players that fit the system who you want the personality back, I think.
I mean, Kanai's inked somewhere else. Fru's going to Marquette now. Who else are we talking about besides Zoo? I mean, Kaysen, I guess, but I think it sounds like London.
I'm in the minority here. Bring Kaysen back if you can come to a price that you guys both agree on. I think having a player like that as your 11th or 12th man is ideal. Been here 2 years, knows what it is, loves the city. City loves him. If somebody gets hurt, you can come in and play. You can kind of rely on him to just get better, get as close to where you were 2 years ago as possible, and you don't have to be a piece that has a high expectation here. As long as you're just still continuing to grow as a player, I'd like to have that personality type back.
I don't think there's an avenue for him to be back. I don't think. That's as of right now, but things can change. Texas says, hey, Mike, will London Johnson be back in a Louisville uniform? First-time texter. Certainly sounds like it, to my knowledge, unless something has changed again. Texter says, love the Knox pickup. Huge Alvaro guy. Get Blackwell, and we're a Final Four team. This is the way, Pat. If we got John Blackwell, the conversation changes dramatically. I think we're already very excited about the core here, and I think you've got a core in place that there's no excuse for you not to be very competitive this upcoming season. If you brought in Blackwell, and I don't think that he's not a perfect player. He's another guy that we would have to kind of mold our system to his strengths. He's another guy that loves the mid-range jump shot.
Does he want to defend?
He's going to have to. But he'll be a preseason, at least second-team All-American. I wouldn't be shocked if he's a preseason first-team All-American. He has the ability to defend, but how do you handle being a guy who suddenly is, you've made $6.5, $7 million playing college basketball? Do you rest on your laurels a little bit? I mean, that's NBA money that you're getting to play college basketball. Are you going to have the same hunger that you had the year before? And I guess that question goes for all these guys, but it's different for him. He wasn't. I don't think many people expected him to be in this position heading into this offseason. Texas, was Knox pushed out of Arkansas? I mean, Arkansas fans are obviously going to say that. The way that we define pushing out, I think, is it's tough because, I think if Carter Knox wanted to go back to Arkansas, he could have. He just would have had to have taken probably less money than he thought he was worth. We talked about the Fru situation. I think Fru got $2.5 million to play for. We did not think he was worth anywhere near that. But because we weren't willing to pay seven figures for him, would we say we pushed Sananda Fru out? Because we were going to offer him hey, if you want to play here for $300K, we can make that happen. Come off the bench, and I think he was mulling it.
Arkansas has also signed number 22 ranked recruit 6'6".
Yeah,
Abdou Toure. He's going to play. They've also got 6'7"
Jeremiah Wilkinson,
Jashawn Andrews as well. 6'7" 5-star. So they've got 2 5-star wing players come. Oh, I guess the Toure kid's a fringe 4-star 5-star kid, but 2 guys at that position type coming in as freshmen. They're going to play.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, if Carter Knox wanted to come back and compete for playing time, sure. But he was probably going to be projected as a bench guy for them just based on who they were bringing in. He was going to have to prove it. He was going to have to earn it. So if you want to frame that as being forced out, you can make that case. If you want to frame us saying we forced Sananda out or forced Zoo out or forced whoever out, you can. It's just tougher to it's not like it was back in the day when Rick Pitino was going to players and being like, hey, man, you're transferring. Like, that was forcing – like, we forced Anton Gill out. We forced a number of players out over the years. That was a little bit different. Texas says, hearing a bit of a mix-up in the ads, which is great, and the we're practicing being big siblings is unbelievably fitting right now. Also, Roman calling a EuroLeague game without having seen the player names beforehand would be must-see TV.
Gosh, I would
I would like to see that.
I would struggle because I want to get them right. Foreign names can be really tough.
You think? That's very tough. Texas, do you think, first-time texter again, do you think the Sports Illustrated docuseries about U of L and PK affected recruiting in any way? I could see recruits watching it and wanting to play for PK and the Yum. I don't think it did. I don't think it was – the reach was quite enough for it to have any sort of gigantic impact on recruiting. Also says if we don't get Blackwell, who will be our primary scorer? Do we have a guy that can just go and get a bucket if we need it? I mean, I think Shellstead's a playmaker.
I think that's why you want Woolley back to give you an option there as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're debating roster of right now 3, maybe 6 people. We've got time to get there. Texter says, source off with Jody.
Yeah, so Jody, I guess, reported.
Jody said he does not expect London Johnson to be a member of the team. Has that changed now?
That I believe that was last night or early in the morning, from what I was reading and looking at.
Okay.
I think that's changed on Jody's side as well, I believe now. So.
Okay. Like I said, I had heard as of the other things that you're saying here, I won't read them because it's behind paywalls, are kind of the same things that I've been talking about. But, yeah, the London Johnson thing, as of this morning, I was told he's coming back. Texas, who is AD? That's the Adrian Woolley nickname. Texas, I agree that the offense will be different, but I'm surprised that he hasn't gotten an absolute lockdown shooter yet either.
This is where I think they're going to go get the kind of name that, you're expecting to be a role piece, you're expecting to be a depth piece. I expect them to go get some shooters at the at least one shooter at the mid-major level.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. Like I said, I think they thought they were going to have that role filled by Brett Decker, and then Baylor came in and offered him way more than we were willing to. You've got some really good shooters out there that, I mean, the McNeil kid from NC State, remember? He shot like 47%. He's still in the portal, isn't he, right now? We had interest in Tyler Lundblade, and he went to Tennessee before we could really get heavily involved there.
Can't the Dylan Mingo kid kind of shoot it?
A little bit, but like I said, for what he's going to cost and what he wants to be, he's not going to go to a place that already has Shellstead in place. Penciled in.
He wants to start.
Yeah, he wants to be a starting point guard. I mean, McNeil would be a guy that you could target, but he's probably going to ask for more than – like he doesn't fit the mid-major guy that you can get on a little bit of a budget. Yeah, I mean, I think that you're going to have to shop around a little bit to find somebody who you feel like can knock it down. Texas Forgaris' stats are amazing when you consider he only played 20 minutes per game at one of the slowest-paced offenses in the country, and Bennett Sturts took 99.9% of their shots. Well, the last part's not 100% accurate. That's not a real stat. But I think Forgaris, like I said, you combine that with the fact that he's only 20 years old or only going to be 20 years old, I think you've got the chance for him to be one of those players who goes from very good player the year before to even better in his final year of college basketball. Texas says, supposedly UK dropped off Stokes at the airport in a blue Kia as well. I've seen that out there. I guess it was just a texter into Matt's show yesterday.
I saw a great Corolla, too.
I mean, again, the stories that are out there, like, you never know what to believe. It all sounds very plausible. But do we think this is true, or is it somebody just making jokes? Who the hell knows? Reality is a construct at this point. Crystal Plummer said, is Mark Poop fondling players' butts in Lexington? People are starting to talk. Okay, Chris. Dial it back just a little bit. Texture says, do we think Mark Pope tells these recruits that he's a three-hole guy? I don't like the direction of the text line right now. I'm just going to be quite frank with you guys. This is you're making it Mark Pope weird. That's what's happening here. Texas, at what point should we be nervous that Fulgaris hasn't committed yet? Not nervous. Texas, Pope moans when he shakes someone's hand. Texas, where did the left hand go on that dap has me crying. Texas says, are we sure they wouldn't go after Jay Lucas? I do think that they will. I mean, that seems like a layup hire.
Fulgaris is 21, Mike.
What?
Turned 21 the week of the Final Four, it looks like.
Okay. So it'll be 21 next season.
Still young.
So he just turned 21 14 days ago.
Still raw, I guess.
That's young for a senior. Most people, nowadays, you've got kids that are entering college already 19 years old. Most freshmen turn 19 early. He would have turned 19 towards the end of his freshman year. So still young. Texas Mark Pope is Kentucky's version of Tom Crean. He's definitely kissing his grown daughters on the lips. Texas, it won't be Golden taking Pope's job. It'll be Jay Lucas. We will have to worry about his recruiting going young like Will Stein. I mean, I would caution everybody to how many times do we have to do this where everybody thinks they know who the heir apparent is to the Kentucky job, and it ends up not being that guy. Jay Lucas is everybody's hot name. I would not be shocked at all if they don't go the Jay Lucas direction. Texas, is Fulgaris good enough defensively to start and play big minutes? It's going to have to be.
Yes.
He's not
good enough.
Great defensively, but I think you can create a system where you can.
Ideally, you bring in another player of his height, maybe with a different skill set, and he's more of a 25-minute per game guy who starts for you and finishes games for you.
But look, I mean, he wasn't a great defensive player last year at Iowa, but he was playing on a team that was one of the worst shot blocking teams in America. They didn't have an eraser at the rim. We will. Like him being next to Flory Badunga, I think will help alleviate a lot of the concerns about him defensively. Texas, serious question is Mark Pope used to being around black kids. Can't imagine there were too many in Utah. Well, I mean, he was on the 96 Kentucky team.
He's been a coach for years.
Yeah, but
you look at the
Utah
BYU
Valley and
teams,
Utah Valley and BYU, man.
You look at
That's
the BYU teams, yeah. I'm going to be honest. I think this is the biggest issue.
I absolutely do. I mean, I feel like Mark Pope is the type of guy who would, before a recruiting visit, Google, best movies black kids, black 20-year-olds like watching, and then just go and be like, you big fan of, White Chicks? The movie? The way, and they'd be like, what? I can absolutely see that playing out. I don't think he has any idea how to handle this. Texas Mark Pope watches his recruits like Michael Scott watched Ryan when he was at reception. Next, he's going to be giving out hottest on the team Dundies.
Just got a text that says Jay Lucas has too much melanin to be coaching.
Oh, okay, come on. Texture says, my wish now is that Mark Pope does enough to get a fourth year. They don't beat us, but maybe they win the SEC championship. Matt Jones advocates to give him another chance, and then this happens again. The Matt Jones takes that I keep seeing out there are wild, too, where people – I mean, we've gotten to the whole, the fan base is blaming Matt Jones for UK basketball's issues. And, look, we're not immune to this either. We've had times where people have genuinely blamed us for things going on with the program. Obviously, they are operating on a much higher scale when it comes to their relationship with UK. But, yeah, it's – the fan base is kind of they're fractured right now. Texas Mike, you mentioned Pope is a dork and Kelsey is a dork yesterday, but they're completely different levels. That was my point. I have a comparison that I think is helpful to illustrate. Kelsey is the level of dorky like when someone loves Star Wars. Pope is the level where you like Star Trek, and maybe that isn't nerdy enough. I think Kelsey is the level of dork that likes Star Wars. Pope is the level of dork where he's
plays with Legos at his current age still.
Or going on a date and showing up to the date dressed as Darth Maul without giving any sort of upfront.
Shows you his Hot Wheel collection when you come to his mansion first. That's the first thing you've got to see is the Hot Wheel collection.
I mean, I think he's reading you scripture before you go on the date. I think that's also not. Again, it works in certain circles, maybe not necessarily with the Rob Wright the Fourths of the world. Texas, is Chris the Plumber comfortable with potentially having a Spanish-speaking player on the team? I hear you laughing. Texas, when I met Roman for the first time, I tried to get him a smooch on the ear, and he didn't enjoy it.
I welcome all smooches to the ear.
Also says, Roman, say something nice about me. I don't know who that is. Texas, obviously, Roman isn't old enough to know who Spencer Pratt is, but do you want him to be mayor of L.A.? Roman, are you familiar with Spencer Pratt?
I know the name.
No, you don't. You lie all the time when you do this.
I've heard the name.
You have no idea who Spencer Pratt is.
I thought that was like a linebacker.
Absolutely not.
You sure?
Spencer Pratt was a standout star of The Hills back on MTV in the day. Became the most hated man in America at one point in time. Actively tried to make himself into a reality show villain. Did so effectively. And now, years and years and years after his influence and importance has been drained, is now running for mayor of L.A. Still married to Heidi, though. Happy for those kids. I underestimated that shelf life of that marriage by about 20 years. Texas is poping the interns. Okay, no. Texas said, I can't read that either. You guys are saying a lot of text that I just cannot say today. Wiley Brown was correct. Well done. Was hoping the Eagles hint would throw you off. Team Rutherford on London Johnson. By the way, Team Jody's saying he's gone. Well, we'll see. Texas, the last text is a joke.
I'm thinking of Michael Pratt out of Tulane.
You were not thinking of Michael Pratt out of Tulane. It's an absolute lie. Texas, tell Logan Bethlehem sucks. Sincerely, a Nelson County High grad. There it is. Texas, the kissing rumor is absurd and not true. Video shows that Pope skipped over to right and offered his hand for a very special skip of joy around the Rupp Arena midcourt logo that he choreographed just for Wright. Pope based this on the Bruce Springsteen video with Courtney Cox and the unfiltered joy in his heart. If Wright is going to be a cotton-headed ninny muggins about it, then he's obviously a bad fit. Maybe there's some truth there. Texas says, this is a first-time texter again, Cowboy. I think an underrated aspect of the recruiting thus far is that these are underclassmen. This at least opens up the possibility to have more continuity going into next year. It does. I don't allow myself to think like that anymore. I just, I view everybody as a one-year contract. I'm not thinking about the future. With football, too. I know Lincoln Keenholz has a year of eligibility after this year. I just, I view everything just for the season.
Just got a Glenn Rutherford reply.
Oh, God. What did he say?
On X. Well, the guy who, just listens to wait for something that I say that's kind of not accurate or dumb, who tweets at me. He said, thankfully, Car Chronicle quickly corrected Romy Bean's dumb comment about getting a tattoo. # running with Roman. And I just replied, said, need more tats. Glenn replied to me, said, nobody needs more tats. They may want more, but there's no pressing need. I recognize body art as a form of self-expression, but my dislike of needles has left this old man's skin pure as the driven slush.
I love my dad still. My sister has multiple tattoos. My mom has a tattoo.
Wait, your dad has them?
No.
Oh.
But he's out here judging. My sister got a tattoo the moment she turned 18. She has multiple. My mom has a tattoo, and Dad's still out here. Just,
I like his point.
It's fine. Texas says Matt Jones got his fragile feelings hurt by Cal and sided with Vince Marrow over Cal when he made it basketball school comments. You all can have Matt. Please take him. We'll pay you, please. Stop. Texas, are we getting DJ Wagner, and that's why London Johnson is leaving? I don't think we're getting DJ Wagner. Texas, remember when Nigel Pack signing with Miami for $900K was a big deal? This inflation as well. It wasn't even $900K. It was $200K per season. 2-year deal. Biggest story in the world. Texas, did Mark Pope ask Rob Wright to shake the bed? We made it to 524 before we had one of these jokes. 524.
Oh, we have so many texts still.
I know. Texas, I think you nailed it, Mike, other than him going as Darth Maul. Darth Maul is too cool for him. He would go as Jar Jar Binks. Lazard Guy says the Jack Harlow skit on SNL was funny, and it got me to finally listen to Monica. I actually think it's really good, and I like it more than rapper Harlow. 1 vote for Neo Soul Harlow there. The SNL skit also got cut from TV, so wasn't even on the actual show.
You had to Google it.
Looked a lot like him. Just say. Texas says, Chris Plummer has responded. Said he loves the Spaniards and all of God's children. There you go. That's the official.
Love that, Chris.
Texas, black skin was seen as a curse in the Mormon religion until 1980. No joke. It not only was it seen as a curse, Joseph Smith said that God told him that black people were straight up evil.
So insane.
The Mormon church had to officially address it and reverse course in the mid-'80s. That's a thing. It's a very real thing. That's what you're working against here. All right, we got running out of time here real quickly. Picks for tonight, brought to you by Chad Hennessy from Insuramax. Proudly serving the Louisville area for over 25 years. Call Chad Insure Max today, 502-479-4085. 2 more playing games tonight in the NBA. Magic Sixers. Roman, real quickly, who you got?
Give me the Sixers on this first one.
Magic!
Don't like what the Magic do when they're on the road. I'm not trusting in Paulo. And then the second matchup, I mean, that's
Warriors-Clippers.
This one's tough. You've got Steph Curry back. I'm rocking with Steph in the play-in. Plus 180 on the money line, straight up.
Old man take here. 37-45 teams shouldn't be in the NBA playoffs. Clippers get the job done tonight. They win. They do not cover. It's another great game. All right, we've got Ticket Punchers up next for you. I'm back tomorrow at 2:30. Until then, go Cards.
Go Cards.